The Kansas Speedway, the fast mile-and-a-half in Kansas City, Kansas, where the NASCAR Nationwide Series races 300 miles today. A huge crowd of fans is filing into this speedway, enjoying beautiful early fall weather and getting ready to support two of their local favorites in the racing version of a border war. Clint Boyer from Emporia, Kansas. He's got the Jayhawk side of the river squarely on his side. And Carl Edwards from Columbia, Missouri, who has the Mizzou crowd revved up and ready to roar. They'll vie with Kyle Busch, Matt Kenseth, Mark Martin, and others to be first to the checkered flag today in America's heartland.
T-minus 10, 9, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, ignition.
ESPN welcomes you to NASCAR Countdown. With just 6 races to go in the season, the fight for the NASCAR Nationwide Series Championship moves to the home area of the top contenders, the Kansas Speedway in Kansas City, Kansas. This beautiful track's just 8 years old, and while it may not have the long history, it has had its share of great racing and more than its share of plot twists. The driver who leads the most laps has never won in the Nationwide Series at this track. We'll see what kind of drama today brings. Let's get right to the grid and hear from some of the drivers in today's field. Shannon Spake leads off.
Yeah, it's the first time Kevin Harvick's qualified on the pole in a KHI car. How big of a milestone is this for your team?
It's great. I don't have to listen to everybody give me crap at the shop anymore, but just have to thank Rick Wren and Jason Meeks and all these Camping World Chevrolet guys. Done a great job. This is a brand new car that we built to come here after I wrecked it at Charlotte in qualifying. So it's been really good, and we'll see where we go today.
All right, Kevin Harvick has to get out to get introduced, but one man who was on the move, Mike Bliss.
How hungry should this driver be to try to win one here?
Mike Bliss and his team, they're running well enough now to get a victory.
So far this year, Dave, Mike Bliss has recorded 12 top 10 finishes. His career high is 14. He certainly is looking to eclipse that mark and is on a pace right now to notch yet another top 10.
What a day it was for Mike Bliss. He led 44 laps.
Bliss credited with his best finish of the year, second.
Well, they need more days like today, and they surely will get to victory lane.
And a week ago, Mike Bliss led 44 laps and finished a season-best second. How much of an indication was last week of how far this team has come from the beginning of the year?
Well, I mean, we have ran good a lot of races, and that was one of the races that we finally put together and had a good finish out of it. So, I mean, we're getting a lot better as a team. This car that we've been running a lot is getting better. You know, just like everything else, we're all getting to know each other better, and everything's getting better. Better's the word today.
And you were certainly very good, but after the race, you vented a little bit of frustration that Kyle Busch was in the race. He was dominant. What's it like for a team like yours, a true nationwide-only team, to be trying to wrestle away a win from these Cup Series aligned teams?
Well, you know, it doesn't bother me to run with Kyle or Kevin Harvick. Maybe something that does bother me is maybe some of the crew members they have on their teams come over and beat us out of the pits, you know, and we got a real, you know, a team that's a Busch team or nationwide team. I'm so sorry saying that. But
that's $1 fine, by the way.
And it's been 6 or 8 months, you know, since we've been doing this deal. You know, I love running against those guys. It just makes us drive harder, and they have made us race harder and try harder. So, but in the pits is where I have maybe the biggest problem with it.
Hard to believe, Alan, that this guy, Mike Bliss, could race any harder than he has so far in 2008.
He will be one to keep an eye on today. Mike Bliss 4th in the NASCAR Nationwide Series Championship, ahead of 2 full-time Sprint Cup Series drivers who have run all the races, David Reagan and David Ruderman. All of those drivers trail Clint Boyer and Carl Edwards. While Carl has trimmed Clint's lead over the past few weeks, the gap's still a sizable 186 points with 6 races to go. And inside the ESPN Pit Studio, we welcome you to Kansas City. Alan Bestwick with Rusty Wallace and Brad Doherty. This Kansas Speedway has evolved into a place for the drivers that's a lot of fun.
The drivers really like it, Alan. This track is really seasoned in right now. It's got a little bit of age on it. They're running on the bottom of the track. They're running in the middle of the track. They're running on the top. They're running all over. And one thing I really like about this racetrack, it's pretty straightforward. It's not a tough place to get around.
Yeah, the good thing, too, and the drivers love it because when you start this race, your race car is generally very very, very loose. So it's very exciting. And the guy who's up on the wheel can get an advantage. Very flat corners, only 15 degrees of banking. So the beginning of this race will be extremely exciting.
Little taste of the kind of racing that we might see today. Rusty was talking about when this track was brand new 8 years ago, everybody had to be right along that white line on the bottom when the pavement had a lot of grip. But as it's aged, look at this.
Yeah, absolutely. 3 wide right now. Look at them all, just 1, 2, 3 lined up. And you know what? They'll race like that throughout the day. This racetrack has a lot of momentum down the front straight. Well, you'll pass some cars there. You see the cars exit on turn 4. They're up against the wall. Brad, they're in the middle or on the bottom. They're all over this place.
Yeah, well, like you're saying, and it's a flat cornered racetrack. I want to point that out once again. So when you have a little bit of trouble, it creates a lot of excitement. And it also creates a lot of problems for people in the pack.
A couple quick bullet points for today's race. A different tire being used here that has been used in the past. How might it affect the day?
Well, I think the thing we'll look for is there was a little bit of right side tire wear. Nothing too outstanding yesterday, but once again, the third time. A flat racetrack, a lot of right side force on that race car. So it'll be interesting to watch as it goes on.
Yeah, one thing I like about that tire, though, guys, this tire's going to wear, and I really think you're going to see a lot of marbles gathered on top of the racetrack. I think you're going to see a lot of guys running way up high, and I like it when a tire is softer, and I'm pretty sure that's what this tire is here. Yep. They never bring a harder tire back. It's usually a little bit softer, so it's going to be a good run today because they'll have fall off. They'll be able to race all over the track because of that.
And something to watch for today, the guy that leads the most laps never seems to win here, and that means a late twist of plot when we get to the end of the day. Now, talked about the racing version of a border war here today. The top 2 guys in the championship involved. Carl Edwards is from Columbia, Missouri. He's just 129 miles away from this track in Kansas City. Be a lot of people pulling for Carl in the grandstands today, Dave Burns.
There will be, as they grapple over whose territory this is, Clint Boyers or Carl Edwards, and grapple over whose race this might be. Carl, what have you got for the 2 and everybody else today?
I hope this Scott's Winter Guard Fusion is good. It was real good in practice, and we've got a couple fans up there. Very cool fans here. It's very awesome to be racing here at Kansas Speedway. I know for Clint and myself, you know, we're both from near here, and it would be awesome to win. I think we've got a good car. You just never know. Mark Martin looked real good. You know, David's real fast, and you know, I'm sure Clint will be right up there.
One of the guys he mentioned, David Stremme, sitting right next to us here. And David, you qualified 3rd today. How good is your race car, and how confident are you on this racetrack?
I feel pretty good. Rusty and everybody at his organization put a new body on this car, and normally I've run a car in 1.5 miles that I've run, I think, 12 times this year. So we decided to bring something a little different. Hopefully it pays off today. So far in practice, it's been pretty good for the Penske Truck Rental Chevrolet.
Great qualifying run for both these guys, and we'll see if it's a great race, Alan.
All right, David, there you go. When we come back on the Kansas City version of NASCAR Countdown, Kyle Busch, an 8-time winner already this year, hoping that 9 is flying today in the Heartland, but he'll have to come from the back of the field if he's going to take the checkered flag first.
Oh, you did that just that's unbelievable. Jayhawk, what is that in there? Oh, that's awful.
This was earlier today after qualifying. Kyle Busch's team working on the steering on his car. Now, you're not allowed to work on the car between qualifying and the race, so this means that 32 car with Kyle Busch aboard will start last in the field today. For more on what happened to the 32 car, we go to our Chevy Cutaway car and Tim Brewer. Tim?
Thanks, Alan. First place, he said he had an issue with the steering locking up. That means you're going to start back there at the steering wheel, come all the way down the steering column. You're going to come all the way down here to the steering box. We're going to change the steering box. Might have been an issue with a pump, maybe cavitating. You got a reserve reservoir right here, but on Kyle's car, he had an actual remote reservoir back here. So you check the fluid level, check all the lines. But in the case you can't find anything, you're going to check all the tie rod ends, check the complete steering assembly. Anything you can't find any fault with, you're simply going to change it. Hopefully, he'll be having a good day here. But this steering issue, that could have been devastating during qualifying.
All right, Tim, thanks. So can Kyle Busch win from the back of the pack today? Let's ask him. Jamie Little?
Well, we've seen him do it before, so we'll ask him, Kyle. Starting in the back, what does that mean? Do you feel like you have a car to get to the front today?
It's probably going to take the whole race, but it's going to have our work cut out for us, that's for sure. But the LifeLock Toyota was decent in practice. It felt like it had longevity. It never had any speed, but just kind of ran the same time the whole day. So We'll see what it's got today. We're going to have to move around an awful lot, though, to get out from behind people and get some clean air on the nose and try to make the thing turn.
All right, he's going for an unprecedented 9th win this season and his 2nd here at Kansas. Alan?
And it's going to be fun to watch him come from the back of the pack, that's for sure. Now, Clint Boyer from Emporia, Kansas, 107 miles away from this track. A win at home today would put the exclamation point on what's been a very solid year for Clint. And goodness knows he'll have an awful lot of people cheering for him in the grandstands, Mike.
Yeah, maybe 107 miles away, but as Clint puts it, it's just down the road. What's it like for you in terms of pressure and intensity when you come here?
Yeah, it's different. 107 miles is a lot different in the Midwest than it is back home. You can actually see 107 miles out here, pretty flat, but it's fun, you know. Everybody, my family and friends are all here. I don't get a chance to see them. It's a busy weekend, of course it is, but it's an important weekend. I want to run, you know, well for the hometown crowd and do them proud.
It definitely is an important weekend. He wants to show off and maybe expand his point lead. He leads by 186 markers, Alan.
All right, Michael, thank you. And somebody else to keep an eye on today, Matt Kenseth, who the last 2 straight years here has led the most laps and not won the race. He's starting 6th.
It's good when old Matt Kenseth starts up around the front of this thing. As good a race car driver, as patient, he'll be there at the end of the day.
And a championship thought, just following up on Clint Boyer. He leads by 186 points. This is home. Does he throw those championship thoughts aside and go for the win?
Absolutely. Just go for the win right now. That's what's in his front of his brain. In the back of his brain is the points. He's thinking about a little bit. Man, he wants a win, Brad. It's his home track.
Charge to that checkered flag. That's the most points you can possibly get when you get that W. Go for it.
And somebody else in the field we'll keep an eye on today, that man, Mark Martin, the winningest driver in Nationwide Series history. He starts in the front row. Not a bad pick. So much for the fast-talking edition of NASCAR Countdown. It's time to go trackside for the opening ceremony today in Kansas.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your hats as the 11th Battalion, 95th Regiment, Independence, Missouri, presents our nation's colors. Please remain standing as Reverend Mark Holland of Trinity United Methodist Church offers today's invocation.
As we prepare today our hearts and minds, I'd invite us to observe a moment of silence for the men and women serving our country and abroad, for all of their sacrifices. Let us pray. Good and gracious God, as we come today to celebrate this race, we ask that you will pour out your blessing on our nation, on your whole world, and on this community. Lord, we ask that this race day might be filled with fun and a celebration. Put your protective hand across the drivers and protect them as they race for our enjoyment. Lord, we ask that this will be a beautiful day for your glory now and forever. Amen.
And now Tracy Dubuque performing our national anthem.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
So which driver will lead the most laps today? And which driver will win? History tells us that at Kansas Speedway, those will be two different people. The engines fire on race 30 of the NASCAR Nationwide Series season next. The NASCAR Nationwide Series at Kansas, brought to you by Kingsford, proud sponsor of ESPN Tailgate Week. A beautiful day here in Kansas City, Kansas, and a huge crowd settling into their seats to see which of the 43 drivers in the field for this 300-mile NASCAR Nationwide Series race gets to the checkered flag first. Carl Edwards, Columbia, Missouri. Clint Boyer, Emporia, Kansas, couple of favorites. There's Kevin Harvick. He's on the pole. We will see which one of these drivers holds the trophy at day's end. Before the engines fire, why don't we head upstairs and say hello to Dr. Jerry Punch. Doc?
Thanks, Alan. Nice job done there, guys. After 29 of 35 races, here are the point standings. Clint Boyer holds a 186-point lead over Carl Edwards. Brad Keselowski, another 62 points back in third place. So it's getting down to crunch time here in the chase for the NASCAR Nationwide Series Championship. Hello, everyone. Along with Dale Jarrett, Andy Petrie, I'm Jerry Punch. Glad to have you with us here at Kansas Speedway. Well, guys, Clint Boyer has 6 races to hold a 186-point lead. You guys have both been in championship chases. Now, what's he thinking about right now? How worried should he be?
Well, he's thinking of all the things that can happen. You try to keep those things out of your mind most of the time, but I'll assure you that he's thinking about the flat tires that could happen, getting himself in the wrong position, just like he did on pit road at Dover last week. So he wants to try to eliminate all of those things, not let any of those creep up. But he is not comfortable, even though it's 186. And us looking from the outside, you'd say that's insurmountable. Far from it in his thinking.
Yeah, you'd much rather have that lead, that 186-point lead, than you would be to be even or even chasing somebody. But it does make your race just a little bit different. You've got to protect that lead when you get into this part of the season. You can't give away points. You got to make those guys earn them if they're going to gain on you. You got to make sure you don't give it to them.
Every time we have come here to this race for the NASCAR Nationwide cars at Kansas Speedway, we have had a different driver go to victory lane. Why so many different winners here in the 7 races?
I think that it's a very unique racetrack. This is a mile-and-a-half racetrack that's really flat, relatively flat, and no grip. We don't see a lot of the mile-and-a-half tracks that are like that. So I think that's one of the reasons you see a lot of different winners.
Yeah, and I think the other side of it is we just have a lot of competition in this series. Different drivers getting there, and it shows just how good they are and the different teams as they step up on a yearly basis to make this happen. So these guys love coming here. They enjoyed the racing. We saw some 3-wide racing last year. I think we're going to see that again, and hopefully maybe our 8th winner.
And we saw a great finish here a year ago. And here are the 7 different winners in the 7 races that have been run here. In fact, 4 of those are in today's field. Kyle Busch just nipping Matt Kenseth a year ago. Kenseth sat on the pole, led the most laps the last 2 years, and finished second both years. And Kyle Busch just able to nip him there. Should be a great one here today, a star-studded field. There's Jeff Burton inside his car. Casey Kane is there. David Reagan down. Good crowd on hand to watch the NASCAR Nationwide Series get after it for 300 miles. Over $1.5 million in purse up for grabs. As we go down trackside now to get the command.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Kansas Lottery Commissioner from Emporia, Janine McKenna, as she delivers the most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engines!
Crank him up. Crank him up. Well, all right, you can crank it up. All right, bud, fire it up. Fire him up. Fire it up, man. Get me settled in. I know you will. We'll have a good day. I'll keep you updated in the pits, guys. No matter what, we fight to the end for every point. So just be ready for anything. Thank you guys for all the hard work.
The command to fire him up given by a native of Emporia, Kansas. And how about that? Because our points leader at In-Race Reporter today is from Emporia as well. Just over 100 miles away. Clint Boyer said, when I grow up, I want to be able to go to Kansas Speedway and win one in front of the home state fans. Could he get it done today? All of us were saddened today to learn that legendary actor and motorsports enthusiast Paul Newman had passed away last night after a battle with cancer. Paul Newman had a passion for the big screen and the big tracks. He loved acting, but he also loved racing. He even arranged his movie schedule so he could spend more time with the sport he loved so much. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the Newman family. Paul Newman was 83 years old. If Paul were here today, he would want us to go on with the show, which is indeed what we are going to do. So let's take a look at our starting grid. A couple of veteran drivers on the front row who have combined for 80 wins in NASCAR Nationwide Series competition. Kevin Harvick, first pole of the year, driving his own car, and beside him, the all-time winningest driver in the series, Mark Martin. Now, while you watch to see where your favorite driver is starting, let's visit with our in-race reporter, the points leader, Clint Boyer, in the BB&T Chevrolet, starting back in 17th spot.
Clint, Dale Jarrett, ESPN. You have a copy?
Yeah, partner, I got you.
Hey, Clint, what's the most challenging part of this racetrack for you?
Yeah, just rolling the center. Seems like, you got to keep the momentum. You got to trail a little bit of throttle through the center to be fast. Keeping the car freed up throughout the day is the hardest thing.
All right, Clint, we know Carl's starting up there in front of you today, and our second question comes from our ESPN mailbag, and get this, Mark from Columbia, Missouri, wants to know, how do you balance keeping your sights on the championship and the desire to bring a win to your home state fans today?
I just want nothing more to win in front of the hometown crowd. I mean, this is what we're here for, but we got to keep an eye on the prize, and that's the championship at the end of the year. That's what we're after. That's what we set out to do, and that's what our focus is on.
All right, Clint, thanks a lot. Good luck. And now Andy's going to talk with your crew chief.
Hello, Dan Deeringhoff. It's Andy Petrie. You got us?
Back, Andy. I think we walked on him. We're trying to get our pit road speed right now. I think I had like 3,700. Does that sound anywhere close? That's a little low. Let's go 41 this first time. 41. The 29 had 44.
Hey, Dan, Andy Petrie, have you got us?
Got you, Andy.
Hey, Dan, how do you, as a crew chief, protect this lead that you guys have in the points for these next 6 races and bring this championship home?
Let's do one, Clint. We'll get a check on after our first stop. Andy, if you still got a copy, I can. 10-4, 4,100 second.
Hey, Dan, it's Andy again. I said, how do you, as a crew chief, protect the lead that you guys have in these points, these next 6 races, and bring this championship home?
Well, Andy, the first thing we got to do is we got to beat the 60, at least be 1 or 2 away from them in these last 6 races. If we can beat the 60 and closing on that 20 a little bit at the same time, then we can go for the win at the end of the race.
Okay, Dan, we'll get out of your way. We appreciate you talking to us. Good luck today.
Thank you. 1 to go when you get here, Clint.
Let's update some of the stories we'll be following from the pits today. First, here's Mike Massaro.
You know, Doc, when Joe Gibbs Racing crew chief Jason Radcliffe was suspended following the Michigan race, many people thought the 18 team would fall off a little bit. It has been anything but the case. In fact, the 18 team has gone to victory lane 2 times since, both in dominating fashion. Of course, the difference between today and those races, Kyle Busch was behind the wheel. Today, though, it's Denny Hamlin. He's looking for his 4th win of the season. They already had a bit of a scare this weekend. They had a tire problem just before qualifying. They had to change the right front tire. They determined if it was a team error, they'd have to forfeit their starting position. But instead, Goodyear took responsibility. Because of that, Denny Hamlin will remain at his qualifying position, which is 19th today. Shannon?
Well, Mike, it's been a busy weekend for 18-year-old Joey Logano, competing in both the Cup and the Nationwide Series. And while on the Cup side, he's just trying to get some laps and focusing on qualifying that car, over here on the Nationwide Series, he has one thing on his mind, and that is the Owners' Championship. They currently lead the 2 team by 65 points. Logano told me this morning that has always been this 20 team's focus, to win that championship, and he is going to do everything in his power to get that done. Logano rolls off 13th. Dave Burns?
Shannon, the guy who rolls off 10th today is Kelly Byers, and some of his best runs have been on intermediate tracks just like this Kansas Speedway. So I asked him as he was getting buckled in, what about today? He said, well, if we can keep this car from making the crazy swings that it's made, from crashing loose at the start of the run to way too tight at the end, I think we might have a shot. That's a tough order, but crew chief Scott Zipadelli and the crew will try to keep Kelly in the top 10 all day long. Jamie?
Well, Dave, the man on everybody's list and on the radar, Greg Biffle on the Cup side. Yeah, he's won both of the chase races, but today it's all about winning here in the Nationwide Series. It's his final start with the 16 team, and it's the 16 team's final race in the Nationwide Series. In all of his starts this year, his best finish has been second in Las Vegas. He's looking for a win. He was fast in practice. He rolls off 20th. Doc?
Thanks, Jamie. We'll take you over the wall with some camera action. John Busolo, the front tire carrier for Bobby Hamilton Jr., will be giving us the up-close and personal action during the pit stops. This race today, 300 miles, 200 laps on a 1.5-mile track here in Kansas City, Kansas. Glad to have you with us. 14 drivers doing double duty. In fact, Clint Boyer, one of them. We have 8 drivers that are in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup on Sunday, who are also driving in the NASCAR Nationwide Series here today. $1.5 million up for grabs. 200 laps as they come down to the green flag.
Like Ron Horner, they've been teaching Kevin Harvick how to get started there.
He was ready to go when they put that green out.
Top 2 drivers, we're talking about Hornaday in the 33 and Mark Martin in the 5, combined for 80 victories in this series. They are 3 wide in turn 3.
That didn't take long.
There's Clint Boyer, our point leader, right in the middle of this. And you see there's Denny Hamlin. Get together. That's not where he needs to be right here, trying to protect this lead.
Greg Biffle trying to work his way up through the pack from back there.
Yeah, what that made that so dangerous, we've seen how easy it is to cut one of these sidewalls or knock the foul stem out in these one of these wheels. So that could be serious problems. See Kevin Harvick and Mark Martin leading us down into turn 3. 3 wide once again. I think we're going to be saying this a lot today.
So lap 1, the 2 car, Clint Boyer has a close call, has contact. Let's watch again what happened.
Right here's a position you don't want to be in if you're the point leader by a pretty decent margin like Clint Boyer is. He's right in the middle of a 3 wide sandwich.
See, and generally what will happen to a driver with Denny Hamlin in the 18 here, you can see him getting squeezed just a little bit.
3 wide.
And he really, the back end got around and he had to chase that car up and it got into the side of Clint Boyer. Doesn't look like much damage there, so it looks like everything's going to be okay. If there was any damage there, it might be just behind the left front tire. And Andy, that's not a place that's going to hurt anything.
It won't do anything but help it probably.
Yeah.
If it's caved in, there's no big deal. You just don't want to cave it in front of the wheel or the front of the tire, because that's where most of the downforce comes from, in the front of these cars.
Boyer settled in 16th position. There's the leader, Harvick, then Martin, then Strimmy. Carl Edwards in 4th place. They are 2 wide back there. Bobby Hamilton Jr. under attack by Boyer for 15th spot.
Yeah, you can see that the racing groove is already really wide here. There was practice here yesterday, practice today already. So this racetrack was ready for some good side-by-side racing in the bottom, middle, and top group.
And these tires, they go away from the first lap you run them. They start getting worse and worse, losing a little bit of grip, and that makes these guys search all over the racetrack for a place to run.
DJ, you mentioned the bottom, middle, and top groove. These drivers said the good news about this track, it's very wide and you have lots of room to race. It's also the bad news, there's lots of room to get in trouble.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And guys take advantage of the situation because they know it is a wide racetrack. We see the 18 car Denny Hamlin and Clint Boyer following by Brian Clausen there. But what we've seen most of the time, and we heard one of the drivers say it yesterday in our practice show, that even with these cars, that the bottom seems to be the way around here. With these tapered spacers, these guys are wanting to take the shortest way around. They can stay in the throttle a long time running the bottom. But I think, just as Andy was pointing out, as these tires wear, I think then that's when we'll see the leaders and the rest of the group start moving to the middle and top of the racetrack. Clint Boyer's not wasting any time moving forward. He wants to get that 60 in his sights pretty quickly.
There's the 32 car of Kyle Busch. You heard in our NASCAR Countdown show they had to make adjustments on the steering of the car, so he had to go all the way back to the back of the field and now work his way toward the front, and he's making pretty good progress, Andy.
Yeah, he's 23rd. Maybe we ought to keep an eye on him for a little while here. He's making his way to the front. Keep tabs on him. Jamie?
Yeah, are we really surprised, guys? And he even told me in the pre-race, he said, we don't have a whole lot of speed, but we have longevity. Yeah, right. He started in the back. You can see he's already moving his way forward. He's in 23rd right now, but he's keeping an eye on the guys around him. He said they're bouncing off each other all over the
the news coming out of the 32 stable this week, they announced that Dollar General will be on them full-time in 2009 as a sponsor. Kevin Harvick, our leader in the 33 car, so looking to get his first win in his own car, the Kevin Harvick Incorporated car. Could it happen here today? Back at Kansas Speedway, early laps here, lap 12, riding along with Jeff Burton in the Holiday Inn Chevrolet. By the way, for you Kevin LePage fans, he has taken the 73 car to the garage area with a transmission issue. And just a moment ago, Justin Hobgood, who had a good qualifying run in the 91 car, has taken his car back to the garage as well. 20 car, Joey Logano, the Kentucky winner. And of course, the two-time winner, Brad Keselowski, in the 88 car, having wins at Nashville and Bristol.
Now, Brad didn't have a great qualifying effort starting back in the 28th spot, but he's made some pretty good ground to this point. You see him making the pass on Joey Logano on the high side.
This 20 car hasn't been as strong for the last 5 or 6 weeks. That's what we've seen before out of this team this year.
And do you think it takes that kind of time to, whenever they had these suspensions and things, for it to really show up?
It could be, because that does seem to coincide with this. Even though there was a little lag time, they ran well the first race or two, but for right now, they're just not as competitive as they were.
66 car, all smoke billowing.
Stay low, stay low, stay low. Get on the apron when you can. Coming outside. Get on the apron when you can.
There's a caution out here for this. It's either an engine problem.
No water temp's fine. Oil pressure line's not on.
Could be a loose oil line.
Watch your pressure. Get on pit road.
Usually, when all the gauges are up and you don't feel something going wrong, it's sometimes an oil line or something like that. Maybe a broken fitting under the hood.
No, go ahead and come on in. We got a problem.
Harold Hawley, the crew chief, talking to Stephen Wallace.
Yeah, I'm sure that Stephen was asking there to go, if he could go on around another time. It's driver's first instinct, want to stay on the lead lap in case it's something very minor.
Yeah, but you don't want to oil the track down for the rest of these guys, so Harold Hawley called him in. So let's get this thing fixed. We don't need to be riding around with this thing leaking.
Pop the hood and look on his Chevy.
Raise the hood, see what we got. Car, I think it's an oil tank.
Still a lot of smoke there.
Here's Mike Wallace, who's behind him. See if we see anything get on his windshield. Is that oil or water?
Goshen's finally out.
Not a lot of anything. So.
Well, he's not very close yet. It looks like there is some things coming on the wind, on that screen in front of the camera. Probably oil. My bet is it's oil coming out from under that car. You see it actually under there.
The Aaron's Lucky Dog Free Pass winner in this caution was the 31 car. That's Kenny Hendrick, who had been on and off pit road before and had lost a couple laps. He'll get one of those back by virtue of being the Lucky Dog Free Pass winner here under the first caution flag. 12th on back, coming on the pit road. Here's David Reagan. Mike.
And David Reagan pretty happy with his race car. They started out a lot looser than they normally do. They're trying to force David to get used to a very loose race car. At the beginning of these races, they'll take 4 tires and tighten them up. Jamie?
Casey Kane said he had no grip on those front tires. He said it's just sliding, sliding, sliding. The rear isn't great either. They were going to make a track bar adjustment and air pressure adjustment for Casey Kane in the 9, guys.
Greg Biffle also on and off pit road. You see Scott Lagacy there getting service as he went by the 11 car.
They've only run 15 laps, but these tires are still lost a lot of speed, so these guys are going to have a little advantage on the restart.
Top 11 car stayed on the racetrack. Kevin Harvick has led all 16 laps thus far. Let's take you over the wall and look at a pit stop up close and personal. John Busolo, the front tire carrier for Bobby Hamilton Jr.
All right, here we go. Here he is. Let's roll. Go to the right side. 4 tires of fuel. Put my tire on. Get my tire to the wall. Get a fresh tire. Wait for Richard. Put a new one on. Here we go.
Welcome back to the Kansas Lottery 300 NASCAR Nationwide Series event here in Kansas City, Kansas. Under caution for the first time today, coming out of lap 14. Smoke billowing from the 66 car has now gone to the garage area. Here's the 88 car of Brad Keselowski, and he had a near miss in practice yesterday. Got a little contact in the front of that car with the 40 car.
Yeah, right after practice started, the 88 was behind the 40. 40 gets a little bit loose off of turn 2 here. You can see right in front of Brad, he got into the back end of the 40 and sent him spinning. They had to take the hood off of this car and do some work to it and work on the front end. Not a lot of damage, Andy, but still some you don't like to see.
No, they got it all pounded back out. He's good to go.
Set for the restart, Harvick, Martin, Strimmy, Kenseth, and Burton, the top 5. Edwards is back in 6th spot, points leader. Clint Boyer is 10th, and the 32 car of Kyle Busch has come from the back of the pack all the way up to 14th in just 19, make it 20 laps.
This is going to be interesting here. We had a number of cars come down pit road, and quite a few of these guys staying out, and that's one of the, Kyle Busch had made up a lot of time there, but we see a battle for third here. Matt Kenseth going around the outside of David Strimmy, coming off of turn 2 and down the back stretch into turn 3. Matt Kenseth led a lot of laps here in the last couple of years, but hasn't been able to get to that victory lane.
He is the all-time lap leader here in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. 210 laps he has led. And as you said, yet to win. People talk about this being a Matt Kenseth racetrack. We'll get back to that in a moment here. There's a 2 in the 18.
These guys have been going at it since the start of the race. And now Clint finally gets around the 18 car of Denny Hamlin.
He's working that high side pretty hard, trying to make a run on Mark Martin here for that 2nd spot. He hasn't wasted any time getting up through there. Dave?
DJ, you got to help me with something, too. Matt Kenseth just said the car is way, way too tight. And I know you guys can drive cars when they're like that, but they just seem so fast, and yet it sounds like there's such a dire emergency for the tightness of the race car.
Doesn't look like he's things are going all that bad with his race car. I think Matt's just surfing around right now and seeing exactly what he can and can't do with it. A lot of times if your car is tight, you'll move up the racetrack a little bit to where you can carry a little bit more speed. If you stay on the bottom, then you're just going to have more wheel input, and that's just going to slow you down through the center of the corner, making you later getting back to the throttle, and eventually it's going to hurt that right front tire.
We had the 1 yellow flag on lap 14 because of smoke from the Stephen Wallace car back in the garage area. Now Mike is caught up with it.
And initially, Doc, it looked like there was a little bit of hope. They brought it down pit road. They took a quick look, but now you guys have brought it behind the wall, taking a closer look. How bad is it?
Yeah, we've got a cracked cylinder head. It's the motor's lost a lot of water pressure. The Jimmy John Chevrolet was running pretty good. We struggled in practice. We worked overnight. We got the car handling really good. It was just hate this happened for us. Got all our sponsors here and stuff, so it was kind of a big week for us. It's just a shame it happened, but there's one good way to look at our cars running fast, and just I think Richard Childress really does a good job with all his motors, and it's just these things really don't happen often. So take a rack shot, wipe it off, and see what's wrong with it. But oh well.
Tough break for Stephen Wallace, Doc.
Indeed, tough break early on. Pretty good break up here for the battle. Break for Clint Boyer, able to get by the 29 car. It's his teammate Jeff Burton looking back at Burton. And Boyer said, if Edwards is going to be good, I got to go. So Boyer just suddenly caught fire and passed 3 cars.
Yeah, just jumped up through there on this restart. I mean, he's just flying around here right now. He's passing cars left and right, mostly on the left. He's going around on the inside most of the time. As you see him battling David Strimmy here for that 4th spot. He's come from 11th spot here and just making a lot of time, and he's got the car that he's most concerned about in his rearview mirror now.
Yeah, that's a good place to have him. This 2 car, though, has looked like the best car on the racetrack since the start of the race. It's been hard to say, to see that whenever he's back in the pack, but now that he's getting up around these fast cars, you're seeing just how good his car is.
There's a lot of clean air in front of him till he happens to come up on Matt Kenseth and Mark Martin, who are still battling for that 2nd spot.
In the meantime, Kevin Harvick has pulled away to 1.3 second lead with all that clean air you're talking about.
There's Harvick's margin there. Martin back in 2nd. Kenseth is moving in there on 3rd spot. Checking the...
Going around Carl Edwards on both sides here. He's struggling since this restart quite a bit. Saw Brad Keselowski go by on the high side. And your man, Andy Mike Bliss, there on the bottom. having another good run here at the start of this race.
Had a great run last week. Finished second. We'll try to keep building on that.
Talking about Bliss in this car, the one car. He led 44 laps at Dover. Best finish of the year. Now moving in on the 88 car of Keselowski. More on the one car. Mike.
And Doc, as you mentioned, a big run for Mike Bliss a week ago in Dover. You might think that that really buoyed this team and gave it a little bit more confidence. But I asked Mike about that. He said, no, we don't get too excited about those things. But at the same time, we don't get too depressed when bad things go either. He says the best approach in this sport with all the highs and lows are to stay even keeled. And that's how he is right now. Car just a little bit tight, but otherwise pretty good. Dave?
Mike right in front of him, running 8th and making a pass right there. On the 29 car is Brad Keselowski. Now, he said the car was really loose on that first run, so on this first pit stop, they stayed out. And look at him go underneath David Stremme as well. Stayed out and said the car is much more drivable now. He just reported that. Yes, that's why one time they say the car is coming to him.
Caution on the racetrack. Here is the 81 of Bobby Hillin Jr. Bobby, who had not been in a nationwide car for some 8 years. Two-time winner in the series, coming out of retirement to drive the Randy McDonald Dodge, and has trouble here on lap 29.
He flat-sided the right side of this car pretty hard. He's hit something pretty good. Okay, this is not where he really got all the damage. He got up in the high groove here in 3 and 4.
Yeah, probably got a lot of stuff on his tires right there, Andy, and didn't get them cleaned off.
Yeah, either that or maybe that right front corner was down pretty good. He might have actually cut a tire and some of that debris up in the high lane.
Yeah. Yeah, it's unfortunate for Bobby for his entry back into the Nationwide Series.
It was good to see him back, though.
Yeah, sure was.
These guys have just been on and off pit road.
Well, some of them, these leaders have not been on pit road. They've run 29 laps.
Again, and talk about brakes here. The 31 car again, Kenny Hendrick, who had lost 2 laps early with an unscheduled stop, has gotten the Aaron's Lucky Dog free pass twice now. He's gotten both of his laps back here in inside of about 15 laps.
We'll call him the Lucky Dog.
Under the first caution flag today, drivers from 12th on back had pitted. The top 11 had not been on pit road. Looks like all the leaders' crews are getting ready to bring them down. NASCAR has declared this a quickie yellow, which means everyone can pit at the same time.
Limited amount of tires. Those guys that came in just a minute ago, they can't come now.
They will probably have to stay out because, like you said, they have a certain amount of sets of tires that they can use, and those guys used them just about 15 laps ago, so they'll stay out. These other leaders will come in, and that's kind of good for racing. We'll see a lot of guys that are on old tires, new tires, a lot of passing. And here comes Kevin Harvick. He's going to lead the parade down with these leaders.
They cut the cost in this series by allowing them just 6 sets of Goodyears to try to be able to make it more affordable for most of these teams. Speed on pit road is 45 miles an hour. Let's go down to the Matt Kenseth pit and Dave.
He said, I hope that these adjustments aren't too big, but I want air pressure out of 3 tires and spring rubbers out of the left rear. This car needs to turn better. Now let's go to the Castrol GTX triple pits.
And Mark Martin echoing those thoughts, Dave. He wants the car to be looser. It was initially neutral. They'll make a track bar adjustment, an air pressure adjustment, take on 4 tires and a full load of Sunoco race fuel. Jamie.
Seth Boyer started 17th, came in 4th. He said the car is pretty good, just a little loose. He just wants a small air pressure adjustment. They're putting scuffs on that car. Shannon?
Kevin Harvick also loose in the pit stop right now, 33. 4 tires, air pressure adjustment for Kevin Harvick as his guys go to work, and Kevin Harvick is off pit road.
Race off. Great effort by Jason Keller's bunch. You see, he gained 17 positions there in the Baker Curve 4. Good job for Jason. Joey Logano up 13. David Reagan the first off of pit road. Tonight it's an SEC showdown on ESPN as Nick Saban's Alabama Crimson Tide take on Noshawn Marino and the Bulldogs of Georgia. College football primetime presented by Hampton Hotels as part of the Tailgate Week presented by Kingsford on ESPN tonight at 7:45 Eastern Time. Here is Carl Edwards back in the pits. We're hearing a broken valence, Shannon?
Yeah, right now the team is looking at that valence. They say it's a broken valence. They do not know how it happened. Carl Edwards on that last pit stop, guys, they made some major adjustments, track bar adjustment to the car. It's just tight. As you see those guys looking at that valence right now, they said, come on down. We've got to do it before we go green. It's a long race. We know we can get back up there. Of course, Carl Edwards trying to defend his championship, and you can see those guys still working. They're going to get him off right now.
They put a piece of plastic up there on that lower part of the valence to rub away as the cars travel in the corner and keep that thing as low to the ground as possible. But sometimes you miss that a little bit and you have just too much hanging down, and instead of grinding it away, it'll actually break a piece of it out like you saw there. So that was kind of a tough break for Carl, but you know, he's got that patch on there. Should be fine, but he's going to have a long way to go to the front.
He will restart in 38th position. So if you look at the point standings right now, you see that Brad Keselowski would actually move in front of Carl Edwards. And that's a differential back to Clint Boyer. Remember, only 6 races remaining, and 4 of those 6 on mile-and-a-half tracks, including this one here today.
About Andrew Ranger here, leader, and he didn't go. Greg Biffle got a big jump on the outside right there.
Biffle goes by, so does Harvick, David Reagan.
It's almost like Andrew Ranger wasn't quite ready to go, even though the leader is who's supposed to start the race.
And when you get to a certain point, if you hadn't started, then they'll wave the green flag.
They'll start it for you.
Yeah.
Man, look at Jeff Burton go.
Inside of David Stremme. Here comes the one of Mike Bliss. By the way, some of the guys that came off pit road in a hurry a moment ago only took fuel. That was a 20 car of Logano, the 16 of Biffle, the 6 of Reagan, and the 27 of Keller. No tires, fuel only.
Those are the guys that pitted 15 laps earlier, and they came down just to stay on the same fuel strategy as these leaders. They didn't have enough tires to put tires on that stop, but they did get fuel.
So Jeff Burton making a move there on Andrew Ranger, who continues to fall back. David Stremme and Mike Bliss would be the next 2 cars to get to him.
These guys were 3 wide a moment ago, and the points leader was on the bottom of that. Back up front, here goes Kevin Harvick in his Chevy by the Ford of Greg Biffle.
That's just new tires versus older tires. Greg Biffle's got 15 extra laps on his tires.
Little battle for 13th here. It was momentarily. Bliss and still is trying to get on the inside of David Stremme.
Now that's the position right there. You have to be really careful. You see Mike Bliss get loose. There's not a lot of banking here, and you really want to get down into the corner. You have to be careful there, and as you try to pick the throttle back up, the car really can get loose. So you see you had to really get out of the throttle. Here's Matt Kenseth trying to go around the outside of Joey Logano.
Look at that 2-car dig on the bottom, though. Clint Boyer's car really looks good today.
Boy, he has a fast race car.
5th, 6th, 7th, 8th on the picture. Yeah, Boyer. And that restart, after about a half a lap on the restart, he just took off like a rocket.
The 99 David Rudiman up on the top side, and Brad Keselowski right behind there coming on. Rudiman had a good qualifying effort here, and I know he's ready to have what he would consider an uneventful day where just nothing would happen. Just let him run a full race without a tire going down or getting hit on the last lap or something like that.
You see Clint Boyer going backwards. He got caught in that thing you're talking about, Dale, down on the bottom of the car on the outside of him, got loose.
Mark Martin trying to go by, and does go by the 6 car of Reagan. That would be for 3rd position.
Doesn't want Kevin Harvick to get too far out there now that Kevin has the lead on these new tires.
Kevin sure looking like he's got the car today, as we see the 88 car battling with David Rudiman in the 99. But Harvick looks like he might just have the car today to do what we've been talking about all year, and that's win a race and go to victory lane with his own race team.
Caution on the racetrack for the 3rd time. Debris, we are being told, in turn 3. Off one of these cars. There it is.
A piece of aluminum.
Harvick has been awfully good. Let's check in on our points leader, Clint Boyer. Jamie?
Well, Doc, on that last pit stop, there were a lot of different strategies going on, and Clint Boyer decided to take 4, but it was when he was exiting pit road, he got a little frustrated.
What was that idiot doing? It's 24 did that the last stop too. You wrecked 11. It's all right. Just nice and calm. We're just getting this race started good yet.
And Clint Boyer getting a talking to from his spotter and the team trying to keep him confident and upbeat. He lost 6 spots on pit road, but guys, you were talking about that pass in the grass. He passed 3 cars at once. He's making his way back.
That rush hour traffic will get you, whether it's on pit road or out here on the interstate. It's tough. Clint got a little excited there. He knew he had a good race car, and it's just thing you go to take off, and there's a guy sitting right in front of you. He's wanting to know what his plan was.
That was kind of weird. He just kind of sitting there like waiting on his turn to pit.
Yeah, you were talking about the pressure. 6 races to go, 186-point lead. He can't ill afford to have something foolish to happen to him on pit road, because suddenly that lead will be gone. He'll have to race Carl Levers down to the wire for the title.
Tomorrow, race 3 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup happens here in Kansas. Our coverage on ABC at 1 Eastern time. Let's see, we got 7 of the 12 drivers in the championship, starting from 24th on back in the field. Some of them, like Carl Edwards, were very fast in today's final practice. That is tomorrow, 1 Eastern time, race 3 in the chase. ABC, we hope you'll be with us. We are getting ready to go back racing in just a little bit here in the NASCAR Nationwide Series event at Kansas today. Rusty, early thoughts on what we've seen?
Yeah, the one thing I do like about this track right now, guys, is 3rd lane, all of it against the wall is really starting to come in now. And that's, I think I've got to hand it to Goodyear for building a really good tire that wears good, where you can run on the bottom, middle, and top. And I've been watching Matt Kenseth, and Matt Kenseth is doing the best job running that high lane and making some passes.
I think the thing for me is Kevin Harvick. He is on a mission to get that 33 car, the KHI car, into victory lane. He started out, he obviously qualified extremely well up front. The car has been fast. He's maintained his position. He came into the pits. They got him right back out quickly. He's up front. It looks like this could be his day.
Yeah, we've seen Kevin has the car, but what has been an issue for this team this year is down on pit road. When it comes time for the money stop later on, they've got to get it done. We'll see how that plays out. Let's go to pit road. Shannon?
Yeah, Alan, right now they have gotten it done on pit road. On that first run, Kevin said the car is just so loose. They came down pit road. He told Rick Wren, his crew chief, if you could tighten it up on me, this thing will be on. They've gotten it a little bit tightened up. He says it's still a little loose, but it's much better. So, Alan, I guess you know what that means.
So far, so good for Mr. Harvick. Rick Wren pictured there on top of the pit box is we about a half a lap away from seeing the green, Doc.
33 up front. What about the 32 car? Kyle Busch, remember, if you just joined our coverage, they had a steering issue after qualifying. He had to adjust it and he had to start at the back of the pack, and he has marched his way into the top 15. Kyle, the 8-time winner this year in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. And there were a dozen cars on pit road a moment ago, including Greg Biffle. Let's listen in.
I'm going to have to pit, Eddie. I can't drive it. This is embarrassing. Below the white, he gets 2. Just hang in there. We're not even a quarter of the way yet. We'll get it straightened out. Just lap 40.
Eddie Pardue, the crew chief, talking to Greg, been on and off pit road. Not real happy with the handling of this car, trying to get it dialed in. They took that advantage to work on the left side of the car.
Yeah, that was the good and bad news. We weren't a quarter way through, but Greg wasn't real happy the way that's driving if he's got 3/4 of the race to go.
He's hoping it's going to get better quick.
Woo. Man,
almost a problem right here on the restart.
We got some, oh, there. Jumbled up here on the restart. The 88 tried to go on the outside of the 99.
Wasn't quite time to go.
Nope, he's got a tire rub. We got another.
Fender rub there. The middle there.
Big time
Still
smoke
there.
coming out of this 88.
Oh, we got a
Stay low.
crash.
Coming down. Stay low. Come on down. Come on down. All clear.
And Mark Martin is tagged the wall. He is involved. Heavy damage on his Chevrolet, bringing out caution for the 4th time.
That's some hard. That's a lot of damage right there on that left side. He's hit something hard.
Yeah, that's a hard lick into the wall.
So the 2 team cars have an issue here on the restart. The 88 gets a fender pushed in against the left front tire, starts smoking. Visibility becomes an issue, and then suddenly we got the 5 car into the wall.
Yeah, and he was up in front of that, so it wasn't the visibility that was affecting him. It was those guys behind the 88 cars he was smoking. It'd be interesting to see because we were all watching what was going on behind this.
Show you the restart here and what happened. Watch the 88 and the 99.
You can see Brad got a good jump there, but it really was not much room there. You can see David Rudeman protecting his territory there.
Which he has every right to do. That's why they have that rule. No passing on the left before you cross the start-finish line. You see all these guys now going around him on the right. This happened in front. Mark Martin had a problem in front of these guys. It
that car
just snapped around.
off.
There's something happened. Something broke on that car right there.
And everybody did a great job of avoiding. This could have been a lot worse than what it was there.
That thing broke an axle. It broke something there to turn that car around like that.
Mark out of the car. That's the good news. He's out and able to gingerly walk away.
There. That's a hard hit.
Oh, man, it is hard. He's back down on the ground here.
When it happens that quickly, I mean, you never are you really ready for an accident, but he's just going through that corner, and I'm sure that he was probably wide open right at that point. He doesn't back out. Once he got to high gear, he was going to run wide open through 1 and 2 on these restarts. You can do that with these cars. But Mark's okay. Looks like he's walking better now.
Got a glimpse of Rick Hendrick watching the replay there a moment ago, and the car snapped around and hit the driver's side flush against the wall.
Could have blown a left rear tire, but whatever it was, it broke just instantly. You see the tire is flat now on the left rear. I don't know if that happened in the crash, or is that what caused the crash? That's too bad.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for Mark and the whole organization. He looked like he had one of the cars that could run with Kevin Harvick. Let's watch Mark Martin here. You see the second car in line there. He arcs it out and gets down to the very bottom, and right here, Andy, it's going to take off.
Yeah, tire. You can see the left rear
tire. Yep.
Yeah, we didn't see that in the other replay, but that's what happened.
Yeah, good call there.
Man, that's too bad.
You hate to see anyone have that kind of problem on the racetrack. Kevin Harvick probably looked in his mirror and said, "Boy, I don't want Mark to have an issue," but boy, he was the guy I was really worried about being able to run with the 33. Heavy damage, caution for the 4th time today. Under caution for the 4th time, lap 43. Mark Martin. Working lap 47 at Kansas Speedway here, NASCAR Nationwide Series action. We've already had 4 caution flags. The latest for a very hard impact. Driver's side first for the 5 car, Mark Martin. Let's check in with our in-race reporter, the driver of the 2 car, Clint Boyer, who's running in 11th spot.
Clint Delger at ESPN. You got it?
Yeah, I got you, bud.
Hey, man, those restarts look pretty exciting. How's it looking from your seat?
Feeling pretty racy today, aren't they?
Yeah, they are that. How's your race car?
Yeah, it's good on the long run. It's just too loose to get going. We need to get an adjustment here and get me snugged up a little bit so I can go. I think we got a good car. I mean, we marched at the front. I made a mistake there and got hung down on the start and lost some spots, but hopefully we'll get going here in the long run and get back by them.
All right, man, thanks. Have a good day.
Hey, Dan, Andy Petrie, you got us?
Yeah, I got you, Andy. Go ahead.
Hey, we just heard Clint say you need to be snugged up a little bit. What are you going to do?
Well, we'll do some air pressure, and I don't know, might have to play that track bar a little bit here, but I think the track's going to tighten up a little bit before we're done. And long run, we're about where we need to be. So into the race, if it's a short run, we'll snug them up.
Okay, yeah, I was kind of wondering what you were going to do because the track does seem to tighten up, and if you tighten it up now, you may end up having to undo it later.
Yeah, that's for sure. You know, we've had quite a few short runs here. It's getting ready to go have a big, long green run here, and we're going to be thankful we got what we got, I think.
Yeah, sounds good, Dan. Good luck, bud.
Thank you.
You heard Clint say he got sort of bound down on that restart and couldn't get by, but after on the previous restart, once he got going about a half a lap, he started just passing them right and left. Got a couple of Toyotas in front of him, Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin. Boyer is 11th, Kyle is 10th, and Hamlin is 9th.
Well, the way you read into that is that he's not going to do anything to the car. He just wanted Clint to think he was going to. I'm just letting you in on that because that car's running really good, and you know, I don't think they want to dial it out. If they get that long run right here, like you said, they'll be happy they didn't do anything.
Is that calculated deceit on a crew chief's part? I mean,
well, you know, he's wanting a little adjustment, so you say, okay, we'll give you what you need. Evaluate it. After they make this run, Clint will give him some more feedback.
The guy they're chasing is Kevin Harvick, has led twice for 43 laps. And you heard in today's NASCAR Countdown show that the drivers who have led the most laps here in the 7 previous races have never won this race at Kansas. Could Kevin Harvick change history today, or could he be another victim?
Stay tuned.
Yeah, I'm going to bet he's going to take his chance and lead all the laps that he can and see if he can change that stat.
You don't think he's going to drop back and run third or fourth for a while?
I think he's hoping we won't be talking about that next year.
He could just change it. Here he comes to the green flag.
Kevin gets another good start, and this starts a lot more controlled for everybody back through there. Yeah, just as I say that, they're 3 wide.
Clint Boyer on the bottom of the racetrack underneath Kyle Busch.
I think one reason that Clint said he was loose too is because he was underneath a lot of guys making passes, and that's the worst place to be. Like right here, he's going underneath the one car. That's the worst place you can be when you have a loose race car. It'll make your car even looser.
So much for being conservative as the points leader.
Yeah, and what we saw a while ago after he had run a few laps on his tires, and then we had a restart. His car was a lot better then, so it'll be interesting to see. He's not able to make the pass on Kyle Busch there yet, but his car does look a lot more racy right now.
Right in front of him, David Strimmy under attack from the 18 car. Denny Hamlin, Strimmy running the high group. Hamlin on the bottom of the racetrack.
Just in case you're wondering, we know Carl Edwards was back there pretty far. He's already made his way up to, now he just moved into the 17th spot as he went around Bobby Hamilton Jr. So he's not wasting any time getting back after he had to make that late pit stop and put him back in 38th.
Looks like that little patch they put on the front end of that car has paid off for him. Jamie?
Well, you guys talking about Clinton not being conservative. Well, this is one time he needs to take a chance. He's never won here at Kansas Speedway. Of course, we keep talking about how he's from here. He said he grew up racing about 5 minutes from here, but he watched this very track being built. He said he's always dreamed of winning here, and he said he feels like he has a pretty good shot here. Of course, he has a shot tomorrow, but he's putting it all out there today, guys.
Yeah, and Kyle Busch is not giving him a break either and letting him get by. They run up on David Rudiman on the high side, but Clint, they've been side by side since the restart. David Rudiman moved back to the bottom of the racetrack. Kyle Busch still on the high side and Clint Boyer on the very bottom.
And Kyle Busch is way up the racetrack off of turn 2.
Yeah, got a nice run off of there and made the pass. And Clint wants to stay on that bottom. That's where his car is working the best. He's a little bit free. When you get free, it makes it more difficult to get to the center part of the racetrack.
He just loosened up Rudiman right there. Yeah. Had that bumper right up under that front bumper under his rear bumper and got it very loose.
Look
got the
at Leffler down on the flat of the racetrack, down on the apron, 38 car.
You see that a lot here, Dale. Is that a good place to be making these passes?
Yeah, it really is, you know, and there is no out of bounds here, so it's not like Daytona and Talladega. You can go anywhere on the pavement that you need to go to try to make a pass, and you can really get a run, and it kind of frees your car up right there. It's almost like you get on that flat and you pick up a little bit of momentum, so we'll see that happen quite a bit.
One car off the pace of 28 of Kenny Wallace slowing down. He's got tires down on the left rear.
That's another left rear tire flat. I don't know if these guys are making contact with each other. Or...
Fuel, guys. 2 left sides of fuel.
That's a good reason to be off the pace right there, for sure.
Yeah, this left rear tire tread may come off when he tries to come off the racetrack. If it does, we'll have a caution flag.
Yeah, he might make it back around.
Looks like he's going to make it.
Yeah. Kevin Harvick's not off the pace. He's still going. We see a battle between teammates here. Denny Hamlin in the 18 car. Joey Logano in the 20.
That's for fourth position. You see the 29 moving in on him. Jeff Burton.
Talking about the 20, he's trying to, that team is still trying to win the owner's championship, so he wants to get as good a finish as they possibly can. Shannon?
Yeah, they were not happy with this car when they started the race. It was way tight. They made some major changes. They pulled some rubbers from those springs in the left rear tire. Right now the car's getting a little bit better, but Joey says he still needs a little bit more. And yes, of course, as you just said, that 65 points coming into this race is the one thing on this 20 team's mind, winning that owner's championship for Joe Gibbs Racing.
Every position is important. The car is chasing him. By the way, the 29 car is the one that won the owner's title a year ago for Richard Childress. On the right side of your screen, these guys, the 2 and the 32, just having a great time side by side about every other lap.
It's a great battle because you see Kyle Busch running the extreme top side of the racetrack. And now look at Clint can dive this thing down on the bottom. But then look at this momentum that Kyle gets.
Well, on the left side of the screen there, you could see Jeff Burton dive down into turn 3. I think he thought Joey Logano was going to give him that spot. That's what happens whenever you have drivers that you're not used to running with, and Jeff was thinking he had that spot, and Joey almost created a little bit of an accident there. Now, I won't put it on Joey's fault, but the two almost made contact. See Clint Boyer on the right side of the screen has finally made that pass on Kyle Busch.
Before this race is over, Kevin Harvick's going to have some company at the front, and it's going to be Clint Boyer. His car is excellent.
Going to be his teammate. By the way, you Kenny Wallace fans, you saw him come on pit road a moment ago with that flat tire. He has been black flagged by NASCAR because they missed a lug nut. Had to come back on pit road here and get it done again. There he comes. If you just joined our coverage, it's been all Kevin Harvick thus far as his teammate Clint Boyer now tries to pick off another spot. That is the 6th position with Joey Logano.
Yeah, Clint's really good. You can see him, his car will roll down into the center, and watch him get back to the throttle right here. Get that drive off.
Getting impatient. Just let him go.
Man.
See how that car doesn't bobble, just runs right along the white line. That thing looks like a June bug on a string going around the corner.
Nice. See Carl Edwards here. He's making that comeback. Is he going around the outside of Casey Kane here? That's for the 12th spot. He's doing his best to try to get back up there and put some more heat on Clint Boyer for this championship battle.
32 car, Kyle Busch on his future teammate for 2009 in Cup racing. Joey Logano takes a spot away. Kyle Busch has driven the 32 car only once this year on a 1.5 mile racetrack. That was at Charlotte back in May, and he won the race. Here is Kevin Harvick trying to get a win for the first time in his own car, the Kevin Harvick Incorporated Chevy, and having a pretty good run thus far. Working lap 65 of the Kansas Lottery 300, Kevin Harvick has now led twice for 60 laps from the pole. Let's go down to Mike.
And catching up now with Mark Martin, Doc. He just came from the Care Center. How are you?
I'm okay. I just took a whipping, but you know, I'm fine. I'm really glad that you know, we have all the great safety features today, seats and Hans and helmets and everything that we have. I guess we cut a left rear tire or exploded one or something. It just shook and it went. And I just want to thank Rick Hendrick and Dale Earnhardt Jr. and everybody on the GoDaddy.com Chevy. That was a great race car, and I hate that it got cut short, but our U.S. Army Chevy's awesome for tomorrow, and maybe that'll be our lucky day.
You scared us a little bit. You didn't respond to your team initially. Why not?
I guess the lick unplugged all my radio stuff, so I didn't hear them talking, and I didn't think to talk to them. I was ready to get out. A pretty hard lick, and but I'm okay.
He's okay. That's the good news. Everybody very concerned about Mark Martin, so much in fact that Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Rick Hendrick both came down here to visit, Doc.
Both the co-owners of his car. Mark will be back in that car for the final time this year at Texas in a few weeks. And by the way, he does start on the outside of the front row for the NASCAR Sprint Cup race here on Sunday. David Strimmy in 13th. Casey Kane wants it and is going to try to take it away.
Strimmy's been falling back some now. Casey Kane's not really moving forward. He's kind of holding steady there, but he has passed David Strimmy. Here's Mike Wallace with his on board.
Decent top 15 run going so far.
Yeah.
Mike's best run of the year came at the 1.5 mile track in Kentucky, where he finished 3rd. Here's Carl Edwards all the way from 38th on the restart. Now going by the 20 car for 11th place. With that pass, he will move back into 2nd position, or he's back in 2nd in the point stand, as you see there. Edwards back in 2nd, and down 214 to Clint Boyer. Shannon.
Yeah, you know, I spoke with Drew Blickensderfer today, of course, crew chief for Carl Edwards, and 30 was the big number he told me. He said that is what we have to make up every single race. If we want to beat Clint Boyer, we have to be 30 points ahead of Clint Boyer and gain that on him each and every week. Right now, that car is tight for Carl Edwards, especially as he gets through the turns right there when the nose gets down. He says that's where it's tight for this number 60 team.
There's the 88 car, Keselowski, who had been 2nd in the points until 2 weeks ago and had some struggles on the racetrack. Lost it to Carl Edwards.
got some damage in that restart contact, and it looks like it's affected his car a little bit. It's not as good as it was before. I don't see any smoke or damage really, but it's just not as good as it was.
Yeah, he's made up some ground though, because he had to start at the tail end of the lead lap cars there as he made a pit stop to repair that damage on the left front. He's got it back out pretty good. Dave?
Yep, they came in and they worked on that fender. I mean, I don't know how many hits this car can take in a given weekend and still come back as fast as it is. But since he was back in the pack, restarting 33rd and working his way up to this position, he asked Pop Shiri to give him lap times. And DJ, can you talk about how sometimes just hearing the lap times gets you in a rhythm when you're working your way through the pack?
Yeah, that's a good point, Dave. Sometimes, you know, you get strung out a little bit and you get by those cars. So he's back there kind of by himself racing right now, and he's going to want to move around. But you want to know, it's hard to tell in the car, especially as things start slowing down, exactly how you stack up. So he's getting lap times as he might move around just a little bit and see what he can do to improve. And when he hits a groove, that's pretty good. We see a battle here between Jeff Burton, who started to fall back, and Jason Leffler, who's on the move towards the front of the pack.
This is 8th position. Leffler had been running the high groove, DJ, and he moved down on the bottom of the racetrack and suddenly just took off.
Yeah, he's making some good time here. Jeff Burton was up around the 5th spot, and he's lost 4 or 5 spots here in the last few laps.
And is that Greg Biffle right there that said his car was junk early in the race? In the top 10?
Well, they worked on it for him, so it's not as much junk now. He's
there he goes.
See,
this is the
pass.
Final race that we will see Greg Biffle in 2008 in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, and wanted to go to victory lane for the first time this year in his last race.
Sometimes you got to get those drivers back in the center of the road.
That's
car's not
easy
as
to
bad.
get frustrated.
Yeah. I guess you finally got to get the guy's attention in pit. So hey, you got to work on this car, Jamie.
And they sure did on that last pit stop that we talked about when Greg came over the radio and said this is embarrassing because it was such a long pit stop. Actually, they pitted twice. The first time they decided not to take tires, they came back in and they made big changes, big track bar adjustment change, and put a spring rubber in 4 tires. He was a little frustrated, but they kept his head in the game, guys, and it paid off. He's running 10th right now.
Here comes cousin Carl as well on the bottom of the racetrack, digging for all he's worth. Moving in on the 29 car, Jeff Burton.
Very unusual to see Jeff Burton not actually in the hunt for the win here. His car's not very good at this part of the race.
You see him mostly right on the bottom of the track, and in the first couple of runs through those caution flags, he was up more in the middle and top of the track, and his car would actually look pretty good, but doesn't look quite as good this time. So whatever they might have changed in this set of tires isn't agreeing with him. Shannon, what's going on with Jeff Burton?
Dale, the word from Jeff Burton is we need big changes on the next pit stop. He says that car is just plowing. His crew chief, Pat Smith, told him to just hang in there. On that last pit stop, they made air pressure adjustment to try to fix that condition, but it is not getting any better. Looks like they might need to get a little more aggressive on the next pit stop.
Jeff Burton struggling. He won here in 2002. He's the only driver to win from the front row. This race has never been won from the pole. He won it from second starting spot. Pat Smith there trying to talk to his driver as Jeff continues to struggle and is in jeopardy of losing another spot. This one to Carl Edwards.
Yeah, this is for the 10th spot right now. Carl trying to go around the high side, and Jeff's just going to give that spot to him right now, basically. His car's not good enough to race the way that he wants to. He'll wait. He knows they have to come in and make a couple more pit stops before this race is over.
Well, he knows there's still hope because Greg Biffle, was just about this bad, and he came in and worked on his car and got it a lot better. Now he's marching to the front. He's 8th spot.
0-1 Danny Eflin, the young short track driver from Florence, South Carolina, getting some valuable experience here. You see him on the right side of your screen, driving for Johnny Davis. We showed you on the restart a little bit ago some contact between the 88 car Brad Keselowski and the 99 of David Rudiman. David was having a good run, but is starting to fade considerably here.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what. You know, he got the damage was in the right rear of his car a little bit, and that generally is not going to be something that's going to affect him that much. You can see it just in the right rear corner of the bumper, but he sure is fading a lot.
He's over a second off the leader's pace right now, and like you said, I wouldn't expect that damage to cause the car to be that slow, so he must have something else going on.
And the leader moving in on him to put him a lap down. There comes Harvick. There are currently 22 cars on the lead lap. Jason Keller is 22nd. David Rudiman 21st, in jeopardy of being caught by Kevin Harvick.
Coming up next, our coverage of NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Happy Hour final practice for tomorrow's race. ESPN2 next. Then later tonight, it is O'Reilly NHRA Mid-South Nationals qualifying. 10:30 Eastern Time, ESPN2. NASCAR Now pre-race edition tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Our coverage of the Sprint Cup Series race over on ABC at 1 Eastern Time. Then the NHRA Finals in the O'Reilly Mid-South Nationals, 7 Eastern tomorrow night, ESPN2. And the post-Kansas NASCAR Now wrap-up show at 10 Eastern tomorrow night. That what is upcoming on the motorsports calendar for the weekend. What is upcoming in today's NASCAR Nationwide Series race here at Kansas, besides the halfway point of the race, are green flag pit stops.
Yeah, they're coming up pretty shortly here, and this is where you could get yourself in trouble. You got to be careful out there. Getting on the pit road here at Kansas is a little bit tricky, and after you get on pit road, it's such a long pit road, you could get caught speeding and ruin your entire day. And that's one thing Kevin Harvick doesn't want to have happen to him.
Absolutely, and we were talking about this earlier. You're talking about guys and their tires falling off. There's some guys that really need to get to pit road right now and get them four fresh tires to pick back up the pace. In particular, guys like David Ruderman, who's gotten himself a lap down. So they really need to get some guys on pit road and get some fresh tires.
Let's find out what some of the top teams are saying in their pits before the stops. We go up to speed from Nationwide Insurance with Shannon.
Yeah, Alan, Kevin Harvick is just starting to get a little bit loose. Something he really has been battling the entire race. Started loose. As this lap goes on, as this run goes on, he's starting to experience a little bit more. So expect some changes on your race leader right now. Mike.
Denny Hamlin saying he's a little bit tight off. He wants the car to be able to stay on the bottom of the racetrack. They've talked about air pressure adjustments next time down pit road. Expect them to take a half a pound out of the right front and a half out of the left rear, guys, on the 18. Dave?
Matt Kenseth runs third right now, and his car is way too tight, just like it was earlier in the race. They'll make a track bar and air pressure adjustment for Kenseth when he comes in. Jamie?
And Clint Boyer running fourth right now says the car is loose. That's all he keeps saying. And when we talked to the in-race reporter and his crew chief, they said they're going to work on maybe a track bar adjustment, but air pressure. And air pressure is all they've done all day for Clint Boyer. And behind him, Kyle Busch, look at him, started in the back, has worked his way up into the 5th position. Says the car's pretty good, but on this next stop, they're planning on making an air pressure adjustment and a wedge adjustment. He's avoided some incidents, but the one car did get into the 32 of Kyle Busch, and they're gonna have to pull that fender out on this next stop. And behind him, Greg Biffle worked his way back up to 6th after having an ill-handling car that said it was just horrible. He was ready to park it. It's actually come around to him. So he's on a little bit different strategy, but expect the 16 car to come down. I believe all these front runners are going to come in the next 10, 15 laps, Mike.
And Mike Bliss has been fighting tight all weekend long. That was the case in practice yesterday. That continues to be the case here again today, especially in traffic. That's where Mike Bliss says he gets aero tight. He wants that car to be freed up next time down pit road. Meanwhile, David Reagan, his crew chief Mike Kelly told me this morning they were going to challenge him. They were going to set the car up looser than it's been for any race all year long to see how he does. So far, he's gotten pretty comfortable in it. He says the car's good all the way around the racetrack. Didn't make any changes on the car last stop. I don't anticipate any this time, Doc.
First contender on pit road, the 99 car had been backsliding in the field. David Ruderman comes in for his scheduled stop here on lap 90. Jamie?
And David Ruderman saying, do you know how ridiculous this car is? He said it is not good. It's gotten worse as the race has gone on. 4 tires, air pressure adjustment, and they filled it up with Sunoco fuel. Guys?
You can see that damage on the right rear. That was a good chance to see that, and that's not anything that should be affecting that car. So they have some other issues with it. I don't know what kind of adjustments they could make. It's hard to make many adjustments on a green flag stop, Andy.
We're hearing Carl Edwards may have an exhaust leak in his car, which shouldn't really hurt the performance too much. I mean, it can hurt it a little, but you don't want those fumes up inside the cockpit. That's the biggest, the biggest problem with having like an exhaust leak inside the car.
Moving back to second in the points. He is back there now after having to restart back in 38th position. And trouble, the 81 car. Bobby Hillin Jr. spins and comes against the inside wall.
Hit the inside wall now, Bobby.
Caution flag number 5 here on lap 91.
Well, she's still rolling, but I believe the track bar is broke. You see that left rear tire sticking out there pretty far.
Go. They're coming on the outside.
Got a lot of problems.
Yeah, I slapped it on the inside. We're probably going to have to go to the garage, guys. I slapped it pretty hard on the inside. Yeah, it's bringing it to the back.
Bobby had held on to the lead lap. He was actually running in 24th position after having incident earlier, having some damage.
Same thing. He's up out of the groove just a little bit, up on the high side. Just tried to keep it out of the wall here. Once you get in that grass, you actually pick up. Feels like you pick up speed sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hard hit with the left rear. He just got a little bit. We talked about these cars being able to run high, but if you get out of that groove just a little bit, there's a lot of what we call marbles up there from these tires, and it doesn't take very much to get it out of control.
You can see that. That broke the track bar right there. They're going to have to go to the garage.
Kevin Harvick had built up about a little over a 6-second lead there. He was the only car that was really running still in the 33-second bracket, and just very impressive by the team. But here's where they've had some problems. We heard Alan Best would bring this up a little bit earlier, that pit road was where they had cost themselves a few times the opportunities to win races. So let's see how today goes.
There's veteran crew chief Rick Wren standing up watching. Let's see what happens in the Kevin Harvick. Let's go down to Dave Burns first.
In the Matt Kenseth pit, tight race car. He did not like the changes they did last time. It really hurt the car in a lot of ways. So they'll go back on some air pressure adjustments, 2 rounds on the track bar, wedge adjustment as well for Matt Kenseth.
Mike Ford calling for an air pressure adjustment, trying to free Denny Hamlin up just a little bit. Hamlin said the car started to go away over the last 15 laps. They're working on the right side now, swinging around to the left side. A 4-tire change on the 18, and that air pressure adjustment we discussed, Jamie.
And Clint Boyer said he's loose. They're just going to make an air pressure adjustment. Track bar, trying to get him out clean. Remember, he had a hard time on pit road exiting last time, Shannon.
Kevin Harvick a little bit loose, but they are not going to make any changes to this car. 4 tires, they said pack it full of Sunoco fuel. Those guys on the left side of the car, and Kevin Harvick is down and away, beat off by the 18.
Denny Hamlin will beat him off of pit road. You may, in spite of the 4-tire change and air pressure adjustments, Harvick loses a spot. David Reagan up 3. Kyle Busch back 3 in the 32 car. So Kevin Harvick has been hard to be passed on the racetrack. Gets passed on pit road under caution number 5. Back with a restart in just a moment. Working caution for the 5th time today here at Kansas Speedway. Kevin Harvick has been tough to pass on the racetrack, but he did get passed a moment ago on pit road during the caution. Take a look.
Have a fairly clean pit stop right here. You see the guys on time coming around the car. Watch the gas man. He just finished the first can. They started the second can. Guys going for left side tires now. They can't leave until that gas catcher gives them the nod. There he does. He gives it to them.
Kev, we had to wait on fuel. Tire changes were done, but I had to make sure it was full.
That's Rick Wren, the crew chief, who normally handles Ron Hornaday in the NASCAR Truck Series. Star-studded field today, 14 double-duty drivers, including 8 of the 12 drivers who were in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. 5 of the top 6 in points, including Sprint Cup points leader Carl Edwards. So a lot of drivers doing double duty here. Clint Boyer and Carl, this is the closest racetrack to their homes. Clint is from Emporia, Kansas, about 100 miles away, and Carl from Columbia, Missouri, about 125 miles from here. Denny Hamlin about to lead him down for the green flag on the restart here on lap 96.
Jason Keller got the lucky dog. He is the 20th car on the lead lap right now. Kevin Harvick made short work of those guys a while ago, but those were guys that didn't have tires. This is really the first time we have seen behind a car that has fresh tires.
Wow, look at Greg Biffle go.
Got a lot of racing on these restarts.
I think they've gotten this car pretty well, pretty tuned in. A little contact there, Biffle.
Whoa,
he hangs on.
There a lot to get more contact.
Wow.
It's
Leffler able to get underneath him.
Casey Kane there. Oh, they're squeezing that. That's tight racing.
That took him about a straightaway to figure that out.
They hadn't figured it out. We got things going on down into turn 1. Wow. There's a lot happening out there.
Now you understand why the racing is so good here. It's a wide racetrack, lots of room to race, lots of room to get in trouble and gather it back up.
Yeah, Biffle's fighting that race car right now.
So just give him a little nudge right here. Let's give him another one.
Uh-huh.
Halfway next time by, it'll be 100 down and 100 to go here in the NASCAR Nationwide Series.
Got the fence a little bit, Joe. Look for smoke.
That's Greg Biffle. He said he got in the fence just a little bit, look for smoke. He just about got it again.
Oh, just not doing what he's wanting right now. He's 3 wide right there as you watch.
Yeah, that's for 12th position. Leffler trying to go under him. There's Logano in the middle in the 20 car.
Uh-oh, got some smoke here. Andrew Ranger's made some contact with somebody.
Yeah, he was part of that 3 or 4 wide battle on into turn 1 a while ago. A lap after that restart. Looks like he got the worst end of the deal. Watch this right here. Oh yeah, all kinds of things happening. Then the 11 moves up, and that's where what got into the left front.
Scott Lagasse Jr. there in the 11 car having the contact.
Yeah, they're going to have to get to pit road. That won't last very long.
Watching this action on the racetrack, let's check in where Jamie is caught up with Bobby Hillin Jr.
Well, he's climbed from the car and looks to be okay. Hasn't been in a car since 2000. What was the day like up until it ended, Bobby?
Well, we were just really, I think, they were trying to keep me conservative. And they had me really tight. And as I started getting more comfortable, I wanted to run harder and harder. And, I couldn't run hard because we just go straight to the wall. And so I was trying to, find the right line to get in hard and try to keep from getting the marbles. And finally just got in the marble. We kind of hit the wall once a little bit, and then I finally got in the marbles too much and lost it. And I thought I had it saved, but I didn't. And but it was really a lot of fun, a lot of good experience, and I felt much more comfortable really in the car than I thought I was going to. So I could easily come back and do this some more, and as long as the competitors will let me, But we passed a lot of cars, even though we were as bad as we were. We passed a lot of cars and got some good experience, and maybe we can do it again.
Good to see Bobby Hillin Jr. back in a car. Doc, remember, he won at Talladega. That's where we're heading next week. Back in 1986, his only Cup Series victory.
Indeed he did, and he also won twice in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. So good to have Bobby back, first time in the car since August of 2000.
Denny Hamlin's been able to hold off Kevin Harvick for quite a few laps now.
Yeah, he has. I'm not sure how much Kevin's pushing things right now. I think he knows he's got a really good car, and as these cars ran on in the last run, Kevin's car got to be to where it was about 2 to 2.5 tenths faster per lap than Denny Hamlin or pretty much anybody else out there.
And they should have to make one more pit stop, with 30 some laps to go. So no need to push the issue.
As fast as Clint Boyer was, 30 laps ago, I expected to see him up here racing with these guys, but he is up in 4th spot, but he's lost a little ground, lost touch with these guys, these 2 leaders.
Yeah, I think what Clint told us earlier, it just takes him a little bit of time to get his car going, and Kevin Harvick and Denny Hamlin don't seem to have that problem. See some more 3-wide racing here. David Stremme in the middle. Biffle's still battling that race car up against the wall.
15th, 16th, and 17th looking back. There's Marcus Ambrose in the 59 car, moving up into that fray outside of Stremme.
You got Brian Clausen there, who did not pit on the last caution. This ain't gonna work.
Mike Wallace on the bottom moving up, and David Stremme says, you know what, I've seen enough of this. I'm going to back out here and let you guys wreck each other. There goes Biffle back in the middle.
You guys can't really decide where they want to be. Brian Clausen's really struggling with that 40 car. See Marcus Ambrose and Stremme there still battling.
Comes a 99 car back through there as well. David Rudiman back up front. The 18 car of Denny Hamlin holding off the efforts of Kevin Harvick past the halfway point, 94 laps to go.
The Kansas Speedway and today's NASCAR Nationwide Series 300 miler rolling along under green just past halfway with Denny Hamlin leading Kevin Harvick. They are the top 2 drivers. Our Holiday Inn Express race summary shows us that we have had a lot of cautions in the opening half of this race, and a lot of caution laps, 5 for 21.
The first half of the race, I couldn't believe how many caution guys we were having. I mean, everybody's spinning, crashing, a lot of problems there. But right now, we've pretty well settled out. And Kevin Harvick, that last pit stop really killed him. Although he's been out running Denny Hamlin every now and then. It looks like this last couple laps he's slowed back up again. He gets close to him, that arrow effect, Brad, kills him.
Yeah, he just cannot get around Denny Hamlin, but we'll see. He gets up close to him this time. Maybe he'll move up the racetrack, work that second and third groove, try to get up some momentum and get around Denny. But Denny's a handful to get around.
Take a drink of water. You're okay. By the way, Denny Hamlin driving a Toyota. If the top finishing Toyota in this race is ahead of the top finishing car of any other brand, whether they do the Manufacturers Championship, the points go to what order the top finishing car of each brand runs in. If the top finishing Toyota today outruns the top finishing car of any other brand, Toyota locks up the Bill France Performance Cup, which is the Manufacturers Championship in this nationwide series.
Look to the right-hand column, my friend, and look at the top. That is the number that you have to look at. Hey, they did it in the Truck Series. They came on and dominated within 3 years, and here they are in the Nationwide Series doing the same thing.
And so far, the top-running Toyota is outrunning the top-running car of every other brand in the race here today. A little bit of mixing it up farther back. Carl Edwards in the 60, Keselowski in the 88, Reagan in the 6, and that's going to be for 7th spot, Doc.
Good action on the racetrack, guys. And speaking of the 88 car, the headlines made this week by Brad Keselowski was announced that he will be allowed to attempt to qualify. A 5th Rick Hendrick entry, the number 25 GoDaddy.com Chevrolet at Lowe's Motor Speedway on October 11th, and also at Texas Motor Speedway on November 2nd. So they'll have the veteran crew chief Lance McGrew running the operation. So a 5th, and it's allowed in the rule books if you have a rookie driver, a 5th Cup car will be entered at those two tracks with Brad Keselowski as the driver.
Yeah, good deal for him. That pretty much secures his future at Hendrick Motorsports. I would say that they're ready to put him in a car and getting some experience. You see Kelly Byers and Marcus Ambrose here. They're actually teammates, but the 47 we heard just got into the wall a lap ago. So he's battling on. He's on the outside of Mike Wallace here.
Oh, he got it hard too. It's kind of a funny place to get the wall. I guess he's trying to get that angle in the corner. That's getting in the turn one.
Yeah, and sometimes that air off of that inside car can do that a little bit to you, but it just really it's a little wider arc than you need to try to make into that corner.
Kelly, number one of the drivers that his owners are very high on. He qualified on the outside front row at Dover last week, was running in the top 3 until he cut a tire on lap 70 and slammed the wall. We are told they have secured sponsorship for him to run the remainder of the season here in the NASCAR Nationwide Series as well. Up front, Denny Hamlin. If you look at how they finished in the happy hour for the Nationwide Series yesterday, Hamlin was the fastest car, and Kevin Harvick was second fastest. That's the way they're running right now.
Yeah, Denny Hamlin's got this car strolling. They got his pit crew got him out first, and seems like every time Kevin Harvick makes a little bit of a run at him, just like Brad and Rusty were talking there, he gets a little bit of an arrow push, so he falls back for a few laps. So maybe Kevin's just cooling things. We'll see.
Veteran and the young driver, the 7 car Mike Wallace on the bottom of the racetrack. Joey Logano, these guys battling for 13th spot.
Nice run for Mike Wallace today. You see he's currently 14th. It's been a pretty solid run. Been on the bottom of the racetrack most of the day, trying to make a pass on Joey Logano right now.
Mike loves these mile-and-a-half racetracks. His best run, as we mentioned, came at Kentucky early in the year. And the good news for Mike is that 4 of the final 6 races, including today, are on mile-and-a-half tracks. So that's where he's had his best efforts. He loves going to Charlotte, Texas, and of course Homestead for the season finale in the championship run in November.
Got a pretty good race going right here, these two. Looks like Logano's finally got the better of Mike, but here comes Mike back on the inside.
Mike Wallace in a Toyota. You heard the guys down in the studio a moment ago mentioning that if Toyota finishes in front of at least one manufacturer, they will become the manufacturer's champion here in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Toyota came in and won it in the Truck Series in their second year. And what does it mean for a manufacturer, DJ, to be able to get that leg up and have the kind of year they've had to win a championship?
Well, it says a lot about their program that they've got good race teams. Obviously, you see a battle here with Brad Keselowski and Kyle Busch. Keselowski's made a nice comeback since they had to come in and work on that left front fender from contact with David Rudiman. But it's a lot of pride for the manufacturers as they split the 52 car here. didn't slow either one of them down making that pass. But it'd be nice. It's nice for Toyota. You saw all the wins that they have. The majority of those obviously coming with Joe Gibbs Racing. But they've done really a nice job.
Joe Gibbs Racing has 16 of the Toyota 17 wins. Here's the 1 and the 2, couple of Chevrolets. The 2-car Clint Boyer being shown in 5th position. Jamie.
Well, Doc, he's still a little bit loose, so he came on the radio and he's asking his team what he can do with the brakes to maybe help him out.
I think you change your balance a little bit, but looser. Which way is the front brake on this thing being it's not marked again? Changing that which way the front brake? Right there on the dash. Clockwise. Clockwise.
Basically, he just wants to get in the corner and be able to turn better. But for more on brake bias, let's go to Tim Brewer in our Chevy cutaway car.
Thanks, Jamie. Folks, right here we got the brake bias gauges. And what we do, we set this prior to the race. But over here is the knob. We have it marked front, rear. If you want to transfer from the front to the rear, you simply turn it clockwise. You want to do the opposite way, you dial it over here. But still yet, you can manipulate it. But it helps to have it clearly marked here on the dash, because the drivers in the heat of competition, sometimes they forget about which direction they need to go.
The button on the right side of your screen there, you can barely see it in the edge of the onboard camera there, that he would have been reaching up and trying to adjust there to change that brake bias.
Can't see it in this shot right here, but it'll be just out of his, or just within his reach over on the right side of that dash. Be over to the right side, kind of over in this area usually. Just can't hardly see it there.
Yeah, some of these guys will put it down on the side too, where they can reach a little bit down on
I like to put it
out of the way.
I like to put it completely out of the driver's reach. I don't want them adjusting on my car.
Well, you gotta, sometimes you have to, just do whatever you can. This isn't a place you use a lot of brake, but if you got the car a little bit too tight in the center of the corner, then you can help that a little bit, and you can actually set the nose of the car a little bit better by adjusting some of that front brake out of it and getting it to the rear. And that's what they were after and trying to do.
See, it's 88, 32 are still going at it.
Every time the 88 gets a shot inside the 32, they run up on traffic, and Brad has to back out. Now maybe he's got a shot on the bottom of the racetrack trying to hug that white line as Kyle Busch running the high groove.
He has some clear track now in front of him. Kyle Busch is racing him very hard up on the outside. He's using that momentum to stay in front.
Yeah, Brad had made a nice little charge up through there and making passes on everybody. It looked like pretty easily, but Kyle Busch is kind of proud of that spot he's got, and he's making it a little more difficult. Dave?
And the place that Kyle Busch is making Brad pass him is the inside, and that was not Brad's favorite line earlier in this run when he said it just hit too hard, either landing on the bump stops or actually hitting the track. Probably the bump stops when he runs that line right there. So Keselowski not in his preferred line.
Always makes it difficult whenever you've been running a certain line and you come up on a car that's running that same line, and his car is a little bit too loose to be making that pass down the inside. As we see Jason Leffler going around the 29 car. Jeff Burton.
That is for the 11th position. 128 laps are in the books. Still got one more pit stop to make. That'll come if we stay green with about 30 to 35 laps to go. Denny Hamlin is the leader. He's a 3-time winner this season. Hamlin, the 5th leader today, has now led the last 34 consecutive laps.
Tomorrow, race 3 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Championship happens here at the Mile and a Half Kansas Speedway. Jimmy Johnson is on the pole. Greg Biffle trying for a 3rd consecutive win in the chase. And some really fast cars like Carl Edwards and Greg Biffle are starting a little bit farther back in the field than we might have expected. And it is race number 3 in the chase for the Sprint Cup. Coverage starting with NASCAR Countdown ABC tomorrow 1 Eastern Time. Hope that you will look us up. Denny Hamlin out in front of Kevin Harvick by 2.5 seconds after getting the lead on the set of pit stops a little while ago. Let's check in on some of the front runners now as we go up to speed, starting with Mike.
And Alan, the way the 18's running's got to be making Jason Ratcliffe, the suspended crew chief back at home, pretty happy right now. Talk about depth at Joe Gibbs Racing. You see Joe Weidman, he's sitting next to Mike Ford. Of course, Mike Ford, Denny Hamlin's crew chief on the Sprint Cup side of things. These two guys are working hand in hand today calling this race. Mike Ford is calling race strategy. Weidman helped set up this race car. They've already led more than 40 laps today, looking to pick up yet another victory, Shannon.
Mike, Kevin Harvick's lap times are just about the same as Denny Hamlin, who's running in front of him, except the car, as Kevin Harvick just said over the radio, has turned into a dump truck. He said it is tight in and tight off. It is just plowing. Of course, he started loose. They've been working on loose all day long. So Rick Brennan, the crew chief, said, let's go back to the adjustments that we started with. So that might be what they do on the next pit stop. Dave?
Shannon, this is just the third race that crew chief Pierre Cattell has worked with Matt Kenseth, and just the second on an oval. I asked him what he liked most about Matt's style. He said his analytical side. He peels away all the emotion, just gives me the facts. In fact, in practice earlier this weekend, just the center of the corner was what they focused on. He likes that about Matt. They wish they had a faster car today. Matt himself confessing it's probably just third best at this point. Mike?
Dave, after finishing second a week ago in Dover, Mike Bliss sounded a little bit frustrated, was wondering why, out loud, that Kyle Busch decided to run in that race. You get the sense, talking with Mike Bliss over the past few weeks, that he's a little bit frustrated and that he thinks had the Cup guys not been in some of these races, he may have been the one in victory lane. He could be the one in victory lane today. He's been running inside the top 5 most of the day, just a little bit tight off throttle, but otherwise, he's pretty happy with his race car, Jamie.
And behind him, Clint Boyers, of course, he's not thrilled with his race car still. He says it's a little bit loose, but he's listening to his spotter, Mike Dillon, who's telling him he's beating these guys on the bottom. He needs to stay low, and he's telling him exactly where the 1 is beating him. He said you need to get off at turn 2 a little bit better. So, of course, Clint working with his spotter closely to try to get to the front. Behind him, Kyle Busch in the 32. Remember, he started in the back, worked his way up to 6th. He said he's a little tight. They're looking at making an air pressure adjustment on the next stop. Now, you guys look back at the last 9 starts for Kyle Busch. He's averaged 3.1 as his finish with 4 wins. We talk about that Manufacturer's Award. Maybe going to Toyota today if Denny Hamlin wins the race. And guys, I see the 33 is low on the racetrack, guys.
Kevin Harvick backing down after leading 88 of the first 93 laps. Shannon.
Right now, Kevin Harvick is saying he has a dead battery. One of the guys on the crew went running back to the garage, so we knew something was wrong. Kevin Harvick slows that 33 car. What a disappointment for this team. Starting on the pole today, he's got a long way to go in a short time if he even wants to get back up on the lead lap, guys.
Talk about being snake bitten. They had gotten in the top 4 or 5 last week at Dover and had a wheel bearing issue in the front.
Yeah, he turned off a lot of switches. He heard him say it got better, but he turned off a lot of the switches on the dash. That'll raise the voltage short term. This is a problem that probably will not get better. Yeah, they're trying everything.
All of a sudden it started running again. It sounded better, like Billy said.
They switched ignition boxes. They have 2 of those.
Right at this point in time, he's only lost 1 spot.
No, he got 8 volts, but it's running.
Yeah, 8 volts. That's not going to get better. It's going to get worse.
Yeah, it's normally be up around 14, Andy.
Yeah, it needs to be about 14 volts. If that alternator's charging, it'll put out, you know, in excess of 12 volts, closer to 14, 14 and a half. 8 volts is telling me that it's not charging the battery.
How long will 8 volts last?
Well, it'll last for a while. I don't know how long it'll last without missing. Let's go down to Tim Brewer and see if he can explain what just happened there.
Hey, we got a switch in here, Andy. If you got 2 batteries on board, you can actually flip the switch down here next to the driver's seat. But I know you like the big battery, but you come back here, you're going to have to pull this battery out. We've got the quick disconnect switch right here, and that's what they have to do is take the left rear tire off, remove the battery box door, and you know, you basically hook this thing up. It's not going to take them that long to do it, but there again, 8 volts, like DJ said, it's supposed to be up around 13.8 to 14 volts to run these systems efficiently in the cars.
Yeah, a lot of these guys like to run those little bitty batteries like that, but they don't have near the reserve as a lot bigger battery would, and I was always one of those that like the big ones in case this happened.
The ignition box isn't hot yet, so it'll run for a while on that low voltage.
So the backup ignition still pretty cool and not taking as much voltage. And so 2 of the last 3 laps that Harvick has run, he's actually been faster than Denny Hamlin or Matt Kenseth, the 2 guys he's chasing. But how long will it last? Back at Kansas Speedway, NASCAR Nationwide Series action. Denny Hamlin is the leader in the 18 car. He took the lead on pit road on lap 93 on that pit stop and has led the last 54 consecutive laps. Now, Kevin Harvick was the pole sitter and led 88 of the first 93 laps. But now he is having issues with the battery and losing voltage. He reported to the crew a moment ago he had barely 8 volts. He needed 12 or 13, and they are waiting hopefully to get a yellow flag to get him on pit road to be able to make that battery change.
They need a yellow flag, but they're going to start having the green flag stop before too much longer.
Yeah, he's going to start having more issues here shortly. His car's not up to speed, not what it was. He's able to hold his ground while these other guys are in traffic, but he is losing time.
Plug it underneath the tank. Good for.
Kevin's trying to work on the car while he's driving here. That might be costing him some time on these lap times.
Well, he's just trying to find something that where they're not going to have to take the time if they do have a caution to change that battery and get behind or can make it better now. You can see him working right there.
Be careful not to pull the wrong wire.
Yeah, what he's trying to do there, I believe, is the tat. We can see Bobby Hamilton Jr. while we were at break had a left front tire flat, had to come onto pit road.
Watch tire carrier John Busolo. Not much less than. Here's the leader, Denny Hamlin on pit road. Mike.
And Hamlin saying the car's just getting a little bit snug toward the end of that run. Mike Ford, though, shying away from any major changes. 4 tires and fuel the call on the 18 car. No chassis adjustments, just a slight air pressure adjustment. Jamie.
And the same goes for the 2 car. Been saying it's loose, but he's saying he's getting tight late in the run. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment. Clint Boyer continues running like he's been running all day. He will extend his points lead to just about 200. Guys.
17, Kenseth on. Dave?
Once Matt Kenseth saw Denny Hamlin come down pit road, he said, let's not stay out here too long. Next lap, crew chief Pierre Cattell said, wedge and track bar adjustment, air pressure adjustment as well. Mostly a tight race car still for Matt Kenseth. Mike?
And Mike Bliss has been fighting a tight race car most of the afternoon. Still, they've not made too many major adjustments, just air pressure so far. That's the case again. A 4-tire change in Sunoco race fuel on Bliss's car. He's away, Shannon.
Carl Edwards in behind Joey Logano getting tires. Shannon.
Carl Edwards says his tack needle's broken, didn't know how fast he was going down pit road. He also says he's feeling a vibration in the right front, thinks there might be a loose wheel. Jamie.
And Greg Biffle in his pit box. His car's gotten better as the race has gone on. Remember, they had the issues early on. Fuel and 4 tires for the 16. Dave?
88 car of Brad Keselowski is on and off of pit road. Air pressure adjustment, 4 tires for him. His car was mostly tight, and he said, if I miss my line, I sometimes get a bad hop going into the corner. Shannon?
Guys, Kevin Harvick coming down pit road. They are going to change that battery when he comes on down, as you see him moving down. They are at the very front of this pit road, so it's a long drive down pit road for Kevin Harvick in that 33 car. The team is also going to take 4 tires while they're here, but the big thing is for Kevin Harvick, this team is going to go to work changing that battery.
Yeah, he's literally coasting into his pits now. I think that car quit running altogether.
Well, he had unplugged his tack, and he probably didn't know exactly how fast he was going. Have a crash here in turn 4.
88 car is there, the 32.
They've like Kyle Busch here.
Yeah, they come off pit road together. They'd been racing a lot, but the 88 came out of pit road behind the 32 car.
Heavy contact and damage there in Kyle Busch's car. Kyle only running a partial schedule. This is only the...
I can't see. All right, keep coming up here. No, right, turn right. No, turn right.
You can't see because of that hood up. He's taking a hard impact with the left front there. I don't know. He just came out of the pits.
1, left hand down.
And was literally just back up to speed. Whoa.
He got jacked up huge right there. Looks like he just wasn't ready to go when Mike Bliss was.
He got a huge run on him. Man. The 88 car is just behind here, and I believe he's going to spin either in that or to avoid him. Mike Bliss had just been on pit road also and got fresh tires, so he had a nice run.
Clear, come on, come on.
You can see the 88 got down on the apron
Stop in front of you.
and spun.
Yeah, watch Kozlowski at the bottom of the track, just getting the car spun sideways to get by. Remember, he's third in the point standings. And Kyle climbs out of the car. Had to start at the back of the pack today because of a steering adjustment and drove it all the way through the field into the top 6. Now after the pit stop, that contact from behind, and he heads to the hauler to cool off.
I don't know if he had an issue there, if he was just loose on the new tires, but he sure didn't get back to the throttle. And
yeah, you could hear Mike Bliss get back in the throttle where you would normally expect to get in the throttle, and then he had to get out of it and still got into him.
88 car continuing to run after the spin or partial spin there down on the bottom of the racetrack. Brad Keselowski now being shown back in 14th position. Working caution now for the 6th time today. There have been 8 leaders, 9 lead changes. Marcus Ambrose was showing as the leader the last time they came by. Race number 3 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup comes your way tomorrow from Kansas City, Kansas. 1 o'clock Eastern time on ABC, all beginning with NASCAR Countdown. Alan Bestwick, Brad Daugherty, and Rusty Wallace. It was Greg Biffle who won this race a year ago, the same driver who has won the first 2 races in the 2008 chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Let's head down to the garage area where Jamie Little is caught up with Kyle Busch.
Well, it looked to be a pretty good run. He started in the back, worked his way all the way up to top 7. What happened that ended your day, Kyle?
Left the lug nut loose and got run over by the one trying to come back to pit road.
Guys, end of his day. He'll be back in the car tomorrow in the Cup Series, starting 27th.
He was trying to get back on the pit road because of the loose lug nut. That's when he got jacked up from behind by the one.
Yeah, that's a tough thing here. Pit road's tough to get on. We heard Rusty Wallace talk about that earlier. As you're coming around, it's a sharp turn down onto pit road. And you have guys, especially when you have a situation like this where guys have new tires and trying to dig around that bottom. If they're not able to see a signal, you can see here it would be hard. I'm not sure that Kyle is waving his hand to let Mike Bliss know that he's coming in.
Clear, come on, come on. You're okay, come on.
Well, it finally makes
stop
sense.
in front of you.
Yes.
88 car on pit road here, Brad Keselowski. After that spin, 47, they've opened pit road now, and Kelly Byers and Marcus Ambrose have come on the pit road. Those were being shown in first and second. Both of the JTG Daugherty cars had yet to make their final pit stop. Just 42 laps to go in the Kansas Lottery 300. Back with the green flag and the finish here in just a moment. Cleanup continuing here under caution number 6 at Kansas Speedway after the hard impact in a turn 4 wall by the 32 car of Kyle Busch. Here are the point standings. Remember, only 5 races remaining in the 2008 chase for the NASCAR Nationwide Series Championship. Clint Bowyer had a 186-point lead coming in. Carl Edwards has slipped back a little bit. Brad Keselowski has dodged all kinds of bullets today. We'll be back with a restart at Kansas in just a moment. Less than 40 laps to go here at Kansas Speedway for the NASCAR Nationwide Series cars. A moment ago, the incident in turn 4, the 32 car of Kyle Busch was trying to get on the pit road because they were missing a lug nut, and he gets hit from behind by the 1 car of Mike Bliss. Let's listen to team manager Mark Reno.
They say there's a line at your souvenir trailer that you're the new hero for spinning out Kyle Busch. Yeah, I wish I had an intention to do it. The nose and the grill look great. Just got the hood caved in a little bit.
And guys, the team was kind of laughing about that radio transmission. The problem, they say, though, we don't have a souvenir trailer.
You saying Reno made that up?
That is Mark Reno on the right there in the black shirt, and there's the hood of the car. Rusty, from a driver's standpoint, there might be some concern there for Mike Bliss.
Mike, from a driver's standpoint, Mike probably doesn't know how much I think is really caved in, but my concern for Mike is that air cleaner's right underneath that hood, and that thing could be bashed down on top of the throttle linkage, causing this thing to stick. But Tim, you could probably show us what the problem is under that hood.
Guarantee you, Rusty, when that hood goes down as much as that thing went down right here, when it goes down, it touches that air cleaner, it actually pushes it down. You got very little clearance back here because, as you'll notice right here, as the accelerator opens up, it actually goes down and away. But if that thing's pushed down there, it catches on that throttle, boy's getting ready to go for a ride.
And DJ, how do you check it? If you're the driver and you have that concern, I mean, what do you do now to know it's not going to work before you go flying into turn one with a stuck throttle?
Well, maybe those guys down there in the pits are listening. They can tell Mike how bad that is. And what you can do is just shut the car off and push the throttle a couple of times. Just make sure it's coming back every time. It's not something that you have to do yourself.
What I'd be most concerned about is the leading edge of that hood, all this area right here, because that right there is going to catch a lot of air, and it may try to pull those hood pins out. Yeah, I would be worried about that just about as much as that throttle. You know, if the throttle's okay, that right there is going to be a potential problem.
Mike Bliss entered today fourth in the point standings, and trying to hang on to a top 5 spot. Let's go down to Mike.
And DJ, you mentioned what the team thought of all that damage. They're all huddled right around the monitor down here on pit road, taking a quick look. I spoke with some of them. They don't seem to think it's that big of a problem right now. The temperatures are all real good, and they're not all that concerned.
It's not a big problem right now, but if that hood flies up, it can get big real quick.
Yeah, a lot of issues there that they could have to deal with, as Andy pointed out, the hood, and as Rusty pointed out, the throttle linkage there. So a lot of things that they could encounter that might not seem, just looking at it, like it could be that big of a problem.
Not an issue at 55 miles an hour, but the next time they come by, they're going to be running over 155 miles an hour. So I mean, probably over 165 sailing into turn one.
Hey, Doc, I just was getting ready for this restart, and, you know, anytime you get a caution in the middle of a set of green flag pit stops, it kind of steers the pot. And this may be Denny Hamlin's biggest problem now. 4th car in line on that outside lane is the race leader. He's got 3 cars in front of him on the tail end of the lead lap, plus all the lap cars down to the inside. And that could be kind of a mess when you're leading the race, getting ready for what could be the last restart on the day.
That will definitely make the car handle different, that's for sure. He's going to lose the front end behind all those cars. And so, you know one thing, the guys up front, they want to get back on the lead lap. The front 3 are at the tail end of the lead lap right now.
All right, quick yay or nay, down here and upstairs, who thinks Matt Kenseth goes right to the top and tries to get around him? I do.
I do. I'm with you.
What do you think?
I'm picking up what you land there.
Who thinks there's going to be another caution?
I think that's unanimous too, by the way. And how about Kevin Harvick? Remember, he was the hot dog early on here. Had to come on and lost a lap. Now he is in the lucky dog position. So if we do get a caution, Kevin Harvick could be the beneficiary in the 33 car.
All that can change real fast on this restart because of those guys starting in front of Denny Hamlin. But right now, Kevin Harvick would get the lucky dog.
Yeah, Denny Hamlin has to worry about these guys in front, pay attention to them, but he's got Matt Kenseth right on his bumper also.
36 laps to go at Kansas. It was a barn burner here a year ago. Inches at the line when they flew the wave the checkered flag. We're going to see how we finish it here. Bottom of the racetrack. There goes Harvick.
He didn't waste much time going 3 wide. He's actually back on the lead lap by himself right now. See David Stremme racing, trying to stay ahead of the 18 car. He and Greg Biffle running side by side just in front of our leader, Denny Hamlin. Matt Kenseth is just on the right rear corner of Denny Hamlin.
That was a lot of the speedy drive from that earlier crash. They ran through the dust.
Greg Biffle now right on the backside of Mike Wallace trying to get around. Here goes Kenseth on the bottom of the racetrack.
Whoa.
Stremme.
Look at Stremme now. He's going to try to hang right on the right rear corner of Denny Hamlin and try to get this spot back.
At the very least, he wants to make sure that he's the first car a lap down, just in case something does happen here.
Oh, about gets flipped by Denny Hamlin.
Yep.
Hamlin able to catch it.
Yeah, kind of made happen what he was wanting to there more than.
He almost got his caution he was looking for.
Here's our points leader coming in here. We see Denny Hamlin go to the apron, make the pass on Mike Wallace right there. And there's the 2 cars, Clint Boyer.
And he will go underneath Mike Wallace in the turn as well. And and be able to make the pass.
We haven't talked about him in a while. He kind of settled in that 5th spot. Here comes Matt Kenseth.
That is for position, by the way. The 2 car is second and the 17 is third. The 16 of Biffle is being shown a lap down, trying to get back on the lead lap, and that's what David Stremmy's trying to do, running side by side with the leader, Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, he's really giving Denny Hamlin fits right now by being on the outside. Denny Hamlin's car is pretty free on the restarts here. You see Greg Biffle up on the high side. Clint Boyer closing in on the back bumper of Denny Hamlin.
That is, by the way, let Kevin Harvick pull away now, back on the lead lap by some 20 car lengths.
And Denny got back in behind David Stremme, trying to get a run to where he can make this pass coming out of turn 4, where he can clear, but he's still not able to clear David Stremme.
Meanwhile, Kevin Harvick is driving away from these guys.
And Clint Boyer's got to be loving this too. He's watching what Stremme's doing. Here are the 60 and 88 again running together. Second and third in the points, Edwards and Keselowski. Casey Kane in the 9 car going up around Bobby Hamilton Jr. Kane is now in 7th position.
See Stremme fighting back on the outside, but it looks like Hamlin's going to clear him this time. And that's really what he needed right there. He's not really concerned about Jeff Burton and Kevin Harvick up there in front of him. He's got clear track right now as far as he's concerned, and that's exactly what he needed to get himself out there and not have to battle these cars that were trying to stay on the lead lap.
Bobby Hamilton Jr.'s got a problem. Another left front tire down. He must have some, well, he's definitely got damage on the left front fender. He must have had something cutting that tire. A lot of debris that possibly could come off of this 25 car and bring a caution out.
Mike Bliss on board camera.
Oh. Yeah, a lot of contact there in the left front.
That was Jason Leffler's car, the 38 car they had the contact with, and there that cut the left front tire for Bobby Hamilton Jr.
And when you're racing like that, coming off those corners, it's really hard. You're having to use up all the racetrack when your car is pretty good. And Jason Leffler, you could see, just squeezed up there, and Bobby Hamilton was still there.
Pick up on the left side. Pull your fender out first. Pull your fender out first. Pull your fender out first. Just gonna do it again. Get your fender out.
They're trying to get that fender clear of that tire, and it's damaged pretty good.
All right. All right, let's get going here.
That was Chris Roth, you heard, talking to Bobby Hamilton Jr., the crew chief. 28 laps to go. Denny Hamlin able to stay now up front. Jeff Burton and Kevin Harvick are back on the lead lap, but they desperately need a yellow flag. Back in just a moment. Less than 25 laps to go at Kansas Speedway. NASCAR Nationwide Series action. Denny Hamlin is our leader. Has now led twice for 76 laps. There are 14 cars on the lead lap. There's Hamlin in the 18 car. Has about a 2nd and 9/10 lead over Clint Boyer. David Reagan in the 6 car having a very good run in 3rd spot. Just went by his teammate Matt Kenseth to take that spot away. Mike?
Yeah, and Doc, that brought this team to their feet. They are real excited. I spoke with Mike Kelly this morning, his crew chief, and he said since this team has really faded from the championship hunt, the focus is on one thing, trying to get David Reagan to victory lane. So what did they do this week? They drew from their depth within the organization. They called upon Mike Beam. Mike Beam, of course, the crew chief for Colin Brown in the Truck Series with Roush Fenway Racing. Beam has offered a lot of ideas. In particular, Mike Beam says he made the change when it came to the front shock package this afternoon, and it has been working. They were a little bit bouncy at the beginning of the race, but it's really settled down. This car's real racy, and Mike Kelly certainly credits Mike Beam for the input he's given so far this weekend. Shannon?
Mike, if you look right behind him, you'll see Carl Edwards in that number 60 car. Back on lap 87, Carl Edwards told his crew chief that he thought the engine sounded funny. Well, they really haven't been able to diagnose what's wrong with that car. It's still very fast, but this is what Carl Edwards said over the radio.
Yeah, I bet you when you take this apart, you'll find something in the transmission or rear end gear drive shaft. Probably transmission. Something's out of tolerance.
Yeah, Carl Edwards, what a day. They've worked their way back up from 38th, and right now his crew chief said everything in front of you is for position. But for more on that problem under the hood, let's go to Tim Brewer at the Chevy Cutaway car.
Thanks, Shannon. Folks, take a look inside here. We've got shifting forks. We got a lot of gears moving in here. And when a guy's actually going through the gears, occasionally they miss them. And what's going to happen, they're going to chip one of these teeth. And when it gets down into the bottom of the transmission case right here, it picks it up. It goes back through there. Makes a lot of growling noise. It also kind of like tries to eat up the gears in here. Another thing, the dry shaft back here, it's perfectly balanced, and the gears, we don't have any problem with them. If we do have a little vibration, during practice, we can actually uncouple this and take the vibration out by recoupling it 180 degrees off. But these things, they take a beating all day long, DJ, until you get them over in high gear, and then you're pretty much set to go home.
Yeah, you got to be careful with those gears and shifting gears and not trying to miss one of those, because it can create a lot of problems in a lot of different areas.
In spite of those issues, Carl Edwards holding on the 5th spot. The bad news for him is the guy he's chasing in points, Clint Boyer, is 2nd. Less than 15 laps to go here at Kansas Speedway for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. The 18 car, it's Denny Hamlin driving the car today, has been very successful this year. They have been to victory lane 7 times. 6 of those wins have been Kyle Busch's. Denny Hamlin won once in this car at Dover back in May. And by the way, the 20 car has already won 9 times. So if Hamlin holds on, 17 wins for the Joe Gibbs Racing team in 2008. We were concerned about the hood for the 1 car, whether it would hold on with the hood pins down with the air in front of it. Thus far, so good.
Yeah, it looks like it's holding up a lot better than I thought it would. He's still catching a little bit of air. He's got a little smoke, a little tire rub. It's cost him some lap time. He's slipped all the way back, like you said, to 12th spot. So, but it's holding up.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. He was a top 5 car before all of this took place, and it was another very strong run by Mike Bliss. It is one of those situations that couldn't be avoided, really. Kyle Busch had to get on the pit road, and Mike Bliss had new tires, and we see Denny Hamlin here, our leader. He's encountered some traffic now.
And that's allowed Clint Boyer to actually beat him about 4/10 a lap, last lap. So this traffic is costing Denny Hamlin a little bit of his lead.
It was almost 2 seconds down to 1.8 seconds as now Hamlin moves in on the 29 car. There is Boyer, the 2 car. Got a ways to go there with just 11 laps left. We just joined our coverage. Clint Boyer is from Emporia, Kansas. It's 104 miles from here. He grew up, came by this racetrack when he was a youngster, watching them moving dirt, building the track, and dreamed of someday coming here, not only to race in NASCAR, but to maybe get a win here in front of the home state fans.
Yeah, as much as he wants to do that here today, he's doing exactly what he needs to do, though, because he's in 2nd place, and also in that car owners championship, they're moving closer to that 20 car. And so the 20 car is back in the 11th spot right now. Clint Boyer running 2nd. They were 65 points behind in that. We see David Reagan here in 3rd right now. Really, really good day for David Reagan in this team.
This could equal his career best finish in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, which came in Memphis back in October of 2007. David Reagan's best finishes this year have been 4th twice at Richmond and Milwaukee.
Okay, we got Jeff Burton now. He's trying to stay on the lead lap, and he's holding up this 18 car just enough that maybe Clint Boyer can get up here and race for this win. There's 9 laps to go. Last few laps, Clint Boyer's made up a lot of time on Denny Hamlin. Leads down to 1.4.
Yeah, Jeff's not doing anything wrong. As you said, he's trying to stay on the lead lap, and he happens to just be running the groove that Denny Hamlin's running. So that's the problem. And this isn't team orders or anything like that. That's just the way it's shaking out on the track.
But they are teammates.
Yep, believe what you want. That's all right.
Hamlin cutting into it big time now. He cut off 0.4 of a second that time by. If he can keep doing that, he will catch Hamlin with 2 laps to go.
Hamlin's got a good run now on the inside of Jeff Burton.
Yeah, Jeff Burton's just going to let him go now. He's going to race as hard as long as he can stay in front of him.
7 years they've been coming here in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. You see that right there? Never has the leader of the most laps gone on to win this race. Denny Hamlin trying to buck history here and stay out front with 8 more laps to go.
I bet you when Clint Boyer gets to this 29, he won't have any trouble getting by.
Clint may not even get to the 29 before this is over. We only have 7 laps to go, and he's still about a second back from where Jeff Burton is running there. You can see not too far behind, but Jeff Burton's running pretty strong. He's a lap down simply because of what happened on the green flag pit stops, and with the caution coming out and a couple of cars staying out, that got Jeff Burton a lap down along with a number of other cars.
Now that they've cleared this traffic, Denny Hamlin has actually beat Clint Boyer just a little bit that lap.
Now, you were right there, and Jeff Burton got up out of the way. He just like he slowed down and not impeding Clint's progress at all.
DJ, as you mentioned, Clint Boyer, if he doesn't win the race, he still comes out a winner here, because right now he will have gained 15 points over Carl Edwards. He came in with a 186-point lead, and right now it stands at 201 points with 5 races to go. Let's give a call to one of the veterans here in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, 15-time winner Morgan Shepherd in the Dodge. This car number 89 for Morgan Shepherd.
Running 23rd. That's a good run.
Yeah, on a really, really tight budget, but had some help coming out here. You can see he's got some sponsorship on the side of the car. And just a really solid run, up in 23rd. Been out there all day battling.
66 years of age. He actually led the race at Talladega early in the year. That is a battle for position the 23, by the way. The former SMU quarterback, Robert Richardson Jr. out of Texas. 4 laps to go. Denny Hamlin, the margin now is 1.2 seconds over Clint Boyer, and Boyer's running out of time.
Yeah, unless something happens to Denny here, he's going to pick up another victory for Joe Gibbs Racing. Just a good solid day. He was the quickest car in practice, but it would have really been interesting to see if Kevin Harvick hadn't had those battery issues.
3 to go, 3.
What could have happened between those two drivers? You can see Harvick right there in front. He's back on the lead lap, but obviously just barely on the lead lap.
The pole sitter at this race has never won this race. Kevin Harvick was the pole sitter today. Everyone thought that would change because he went off and led the 88 of the first 93 laps. There have been 7 different winners in 7 races here. If Denny Hamlin can hold on now for 2 more laps, he will become the 8th different driver to win at Kansas Speedway in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. '60 car, Carl Edwards in 5th spot. The 88 of Keselowski back in 6th position. They are 2nd and 3rd in the points respectively. There's the separation on the racetrack.
But Clint Boyer's done exactly what he's wanted to do today. We have 1 lap to go, and these are his 2 closest pursuers in his battle for his championship in the Nationwide Series. And we see our leader, Denny Hamlin, here on the final lap. There's Clint Boyer right behind him as they go down the back stretch.
Denny Hamlin will do something no other driver has done at Kansas Speedway in NASCAR Nationwide competition. He will lead the most laps and come down and take the win. Denny Hamlin takes the win at Kansas, his 4th win of the year.
Yeah, and coming off of turn 4 here, Carl Edwards is going to pick up 1 more spot, get 5 points closer to Clint Boyer. Even though he's going to lose a few points today, he passed Matt Kenseth coming out of turn 4. Joey Logano, another top 10 finish. Marcus Ambrose just outside the top 10 in 11.
Awesome job, guys. Mike, thank you for the help.
Denny Hamlin's 9th career victory. He started back in 19th today. Let's go down to his pits where Jamie is standing by with the crew chief.
Well, it was a joint effort. Joel Whiteman, this man right here, set the car up, but it was Mike Ford, the crew chief, on the Cup side that made the calls all day. Take me through this race and what kind of group effort it was to get you guys here in the victory lane.
Yeah, it was definitely a group effort. Started the race off, weren't where we needed to be, but these guys just rallied, had the right adjustments, and Jason did a heck of a job preparing this Z-Line Toyota, and you know, Joel, 2 for 2. What can you say? He's running at the racetrack and he's made the right calls. So, you know, the Joe Gibbs Nationwide Series side has definitely got it figured out. And, you know, just glad to be over here. Made calling the race pretty easy.
Doc, great day for Joe Gibbs Racing, a great day for Toyota. They do indeed wrap up that Manufacturers Championship.
Congratulations.
Good job, guys. Big Curry did awesome, man. You got me out front.
Congratulations to Denny Hamlin, and congratulations to Toyota. The Bill France Performance Cup, it's called, the Manufacturers Champion in 2008. Back at Kansas Speedway. Now, burnouts aren't easy. Look how busy Denny Hamlin is inside the car trying to work this burnout.
He's working that car hard here. He's wanting to go for another gear. He grabs the shifter, pulls out of the smoke. Man, that's a cool burnout right there.
Good, yeah, let's get it down here and now let's blow the right rear tire out. That's like get there.
That's as hard as he worked all day long.
He might argue with her, but that's pretty tough.
Let's go down to victory lane and Mike Massaro.
And the celebration's on, the confetti streamers flowing, and tons of Gatorade on Denny Hamlin's head. The second time this year, the 18 turning in back-to-back victories. 99 laps led. What was the biggest challenge today for you?
I tell you, it was a lot of challenges. We didn't have the best race car at the beginning. Mike and Joel and all the guys did some great adjustments during the race and just came on there to the second part. You know, I love to see Clint Boyer win in front of his hometown fans. I know how that feels, but it's still a good run for him, and tough luck to Kevin.
Seems like things got real racy with about 35 laps to go, some lap traffic in front of you. What was that like? What was going through your mind then, knowing you had such a good race car?
I mean, it's tough, you know, especially with those guys that decided to stay out because they got caught under that caution. But I knew what I had in front of me. I had one of Clint's teammates and then his RCR teammate with Kevin. So I knew I was going to have to be a little patient.
What a year for Joe Gibbs Racing. This is their 17th win of 2008, Jamie.
Well, it was Clint Boyer's best finish here at his home track, his second. At the end, you and Denny were pretty much identical on your lap times. Where was he getting you, Clint?
They were just the same place they've been getting us all year. You know, all the Gibbs bunch has done a good job with those cars, and they've just been beating us. We've been getting better. These are the tracks we needed to improve on. I feel like we did. I was really proud of Dan and all the guys for bringing me a good car. The BB&T Chevrolet was strong all day long. A lot better on the long run. It took a little too long to get going, but come up a little short.
I heard you tell your crew chief you guys have made some headway. What areas did you guys need to improve on since we have so many of these tracks remaining?
Well, the engine boys have certainly been working on horsepower, and I feel like they've made strides, and we got some more to come. So we're looking forward to latter part of the year, and hopefully we can get a couple more wins.
All right, Clint Boyer extends his points lead to 196 over Carl Edwards. Shannon?
Yeah, down here with Kevin Harvick, obviously the dominant car, sat on the pole. Disappointment over the radio to your crew chief. Does it help a little bit, though, knowing that you had such a fast car and that you guys can get it done?
Yeah, I'm not disappointed I'm disappointed that we didn't obviously get to finish where we started. You know, had a great car all day. Our Camping World Chevrolet was good all day. It's just the alternator went out there about halfway through the race, and I didn't notice the volts until it quit and started missing, and then I switched it to the second ignition box and started running again. But just proud of everybody. You know, nobody's fault. Stuff happens, and we'll roll on with it.
All right, Kevin Harvick finishes 13th today. Dave?
And Shannon, David Reagan led the Roush contingent here today. Past a couple of your teammates there near the end. How was the run?
Our discount tire Ford had pretty good speed, and you know, it's just a matter of making a good adjustment that last pit stop. Our pit crew did a great job on pit road, and we had pretty good track position, and I felt like our car was the best it had been all day on the last run, so just needed a little bit more.
You had a different factor in there today, the Mike Beam factor. How did he help out?
Well, he just basically sat on the pit box and observed a little bit. You know, it's always good to have some experience. Mike Kelly and our discount tire team did a great job. This is a car that's proven fast before, and Mike was just basically here just kind of hanging out. We had some experience working together, and it's all part of the experience that we have at Roush Fenway Racing.
Ties his best career finish, Jamie, third.
And his teammate Carl Edwards finishes fourth, but he had that motor issue earlier. How did you rally back and finish so well?
My guys just did a really good job. You know, we had that issue with the splitter, or the front valence, and Drew did a good job fixing that. And then coming back, I thought the motor was blowing up at one point, and it kept running. So it's a good Ford engine there. But the Scott's Winter Guard car just was not quite as fast as I thought it was going to be. We fought all day, and I don't know, ended up a good finish, but Clint did a good job. So we'll go over the dirt track tonight, watch my brother Kenny race. He's did a good job last night. We had a lot of fun driving for Reed Millard, and hopefully he can get a good run tonight. And I think tomorrow's going to be great.
Hometown crowd, friends, family, everybody's here. He brings home his fourth top 5, I should say. Dave?
Matt Kenseth also in the top 5 today, but not where he wanted to be. And I know you struggled with that car all day, Matt. What happened at the end there where it faded?
Really, for 2 days we struggled with it. We just been seemed like we could never get the left front down and turning very good. So we keep trying to free the car up, with track bars and rear end stuff, and we could get it loose in and loose off, but we could just never fix the middle. And at the end there, we just kind of made an adjustment. I was hoping to hold the left front down. It actually made it worse and just got really tight there that last run and just kept going backwards. So it was kind of a struggle. I was glad we still had a decent day. I brought Arby's car home 5th. It's the last run for Arby's this year. So it was overall a fun day, but yet it was just frustrating. We never get the car quite right.
Did I hear you say also that you tagged the wall a little bit, trying hard at the end to keep up?
No, I never hit the wall, but we were just kind of sliding all over the place. I was trying to, I raced David too hard in the beginning of that run, and I probably should let him go on. But we have been a little better in the long run, and I was hoping to stay in front of David and Clint and try to keep up with 18, but none of that happened. Everything I tried seemed to go backwards.
All right, that's Matt Kenseth, another top 5 here at Kansas. Shannon?
Yep, down here with Brad Keselowski, 6th place finish. Describe your day, Brad.
Well, we passed a lot of cars, so, just a long day, but we'll take a 6th. I think we were probably better than that, but still proud of everyone on this U.S. Navy Chevrolet team. They gave me an awesome race car, really strong on the long runs. Felt like we had something for them there. We adjusted on it there the last 2 runs and got it driving good, but it just wasn't as fast as it was at the start of the day. So track changed a little bit, and just didn't change for our favor, but still proud of everyone on my team and proud of everyone at Junior Motorsports working hard to give me good cars here to finish out the season strong.
Yeah, it was an eventful day for you with other cars on the track. How difficult is it to stay focused when you have issues like that happen on the track?
You just get used to it over time. I feel like it's one of my strong suits is, overcoming some adversity, but when you have good cars and a good team, it makes it a lot easier.
All right, and Brad Keselowski, of course, they announced this week that he will be making 2 Cup starts this season. Doc?
Shannon, 5 races to go here for the NASCAR Nationwide Series season. Here are the point standings. You see Carl Edwards 196 back. Brad Keselowski hit everything but the Kansas lottery today and still managed to drive that car back and get a 6th place finish. And now the question is, can Carl Edwards catch Clint Bowyer with 5 races to go, guys? That pass on the last lap there by Carl Edwards actually saved him from losing 15 points. He only lost 10 coming into the day.
Yeah, but it's still a tall order. Can he catch him? Yeah, something should happen to Clint Bowyer. But, they've shown so far that they're ready to try to win this championship, and Clint Bowyer's doing everything that he can on the racetrack to ensure that's going to happen.
Yeah, and he's going to have, like I said, you're going to have some problems with Clint Bowyer's car. And he's put himself in some spots, a few tight spots. Early in the race, he was 3 or 4 wide at one point. So there's still a chance that Clint could make a mistake. But if he keeps running like he is, he's going to be there. I mean, he's going to be the guy to beat.
And these 2 guys not only trying to win a NASCAR Nationwide Series title, they're also trying to win the NASCAR Sprint Cup Championship. They're in the chase, so they got a lot to think about on Saturday and Sunday. Alan?
All right, Doc, thanks. So we came on the air for this race talking about the border war. Kansas-Mizzou, Clint Bowyer, the Kansan, got the advantage today, gaining that slight ground in the championship. Talked about the leader of the most laps never wins this race. That was out the door today as Denny Hamlin led the most laps and won. And, a lot of people have talked all season long about rules. NASCAR made a rules adjustment that affected the Toyota engines and so on. But whatever your belief is on the rules and the Toyotas, you have to tip your cap to Joe Gibbs Racing and what they've done in this series this year.
Absolutely. You got to be talking Joe Gibbs Racing a lot because, Alan, they've got a good handling car. They got a good engine package. They've done everything right, and they've won that manufacturer championship, so they deserve it. They're the hardest working team out there, and whenever you can win something like that, you deserve it. But what about Kevin Harvick?
Yeah.
I mean, this guy dominates all day long and has a bad every problem. He's got to be sick right now.
Yeah, Kevin had a great race car. He was really fast. I know he wants to get that KHI Chevrolet to victory lane as soon as he possibly can. But going back to Joe Gibbs and the whole Gibbs organization, whenever you walk in to interview any of those people, you feel the cohesiveness of that organization. And that's why they're so good. They're a tight-knit group. They're a faith-based group. And they come, work hard, race hard, and they're reaping everything that they've sown in good product right now.
And every driver gets in that car, Alan, seems like they win. I mean, they've had a lot of different drivers in the 18 car, have different drivers in the 20 car, and that organization is just so solid, it doesn't seem to make a difference.
17 wins for Joe Gibbs Racing in this NASCAR Nationwide Series 2008 so far. Nationwide Series has next weekend off, and then they go to work at Lowe's Motor Speedway, Charlotte, another mile-and-a-half track. You heard Clint Boyer reference the mile-and-a-half tracks and how critical they're going to be as Richard Childress Racing tries to bump up the horsepower and give Boyer that energy he needs under the hood to win this championship down these final half dozen
Richard's really
races.
working hard on that engine program, just like you said. I know Childress is on that dyno all the time, trying to be the #1 engine manufacturer out there. And I tell you, Boyer looked awful good today out there, Brad. His car was strong. I'm looking at some of the lap times, 2 or 3 laps to go. Yeah. He was right there, so they're close now.
Absolutely, and you're going to hear all these teams, whether it's the beginning of the year and end of the year, talking about the mile-and-a-half tracks, because that's the bread and butter of the series. We go to multiple tracks where we have to run the mile-and-a-half, 7 of them, as a matter of fact, in this series. So you have to be able to get, and we go from this mile-and-a-half track, which is relatively flat, to Charlotte next, and that track has 24 degrees of banking compared to 15. So there's a little bit of a wrench thrown in there.
Denny Hamlin started 19th and won the race today for the Nationwide Series. Tomorrow for the Sprint Cup Series, he starts 30th. How is his car in happy hour? Find out next. Our coverage of NASCAR Sprint Cup Series final practice immediately follows in just a moment. Then later on tonight, 10:30 Eastern Time, O'Reilly NHRA Mid-South Nationals qualifying on ESPN2, 10:30 Eastern Time. And tomorrow throughout the day, the NASCAR Now pre-race show, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Our Sprint Cup Series coverage, starting with NASCAR Countdown, ABC at 1 Eastern. Then the NHRA O'Reilly Mid-South Nationals finals, 7 Eastern tomorrow night, ESPN2. And the NASCAR Now post-race show tomorrow night at 10 Eastern Time on ESPN2. So Kevin Harvick started on pole, dominated the opening half of the race, but had an electrical problem that took him out of contention. And it was Denny Hamlin who dominated the second half of the race, and he scored the win today here in Kansas. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Sprint Cup Happy Hour is next.